Welcome to The Works, a show dedicated to Hillsborough County's Public Works Department. In this video, I'm going to break down what Public Works is and how they play a crucial part in our everyday lives. Hillsborough County's Public Works Department plays a vital role in supporting the community's daily needs and long-term growth by building and maintaining a safe, thriving community through collaboration, dedication, and taking pride in public service. Whether it's maintaining roads and sidewalks, improving stormwater infrastructure, or delivering major projects such as construction of a new library. Our Public Works is comprised of two primary departments, Engineering and Operations and Capital Programs. Engineering and Operations focuses on the day-to-day maintenance, safety, and functionality of transportation and drainage systems, as well as mosquito management services. Capital Programs oversees the construction of long-term infrastructure projects that support mobility, resiliency, and community development. Together, these departments are responsible for planning, building, operating, and maintaining the county's critical infrastructure. Now that you have an understanding of what Public Works is, this show will break down the roles Public Works plays in Hillsborough County. So be sure to subscribe on our social media pages and be on the lookout for future episodes.
In a world where loyal companions await, one place stands as their beacon of hope. The Pet Resource Center of Hillsborough County, where you can adopt your very own superhero. Adopt a dog, find your sidekick, and unlock the power of unconditional love. Suit up, show up, and adopt today. For more information, visit hcfl.gov/pets.
Good morning. If you could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please have a seat. Good morning, everyone. I want to welcome you to the June 15th, 2026 Land Use Hearing Officer hearing. My name is Susan Finch, and I'll be presiding as the hearing officer over today's cases. Let me start by introducing Ms. Colleen Marshall. She is with the Development Services Department, and she'll introduce other staff members that will participate in today's hearing, as well as go over any off-the-agenda changes. Ms. Marshall.
Good morning, Colleen Marshall, Development Services. To my left is Mary Dorman and Jared Delfino, the Hillsborough County County Attorney's Office. Carmen Mason, a Development Service staff, is joining us virtually. Alexis Myers, a Planning Commission staff, will be presenting virtually as well. During the course of the hearing, a number of other staff planners will be presenting their findings for various cases and will be introduced for each item. We have no changes to the published agenda.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Let me start by going over our procedures for today's hearing. Our hearing today consists of agenda items that require a public hearing by a land use hearing officer. I'll conduct a hearing on each agenda item and will file a decision within 15 business days following today's hearing. Our hearing today is informal. I'll ask questions related to the scope of direct testimony. I may call and question witnesses as I deem appropriate, and I will decide all questions of procedure. I'll take evidence, but will exclude evidence that is irrelevant, immaterial, or unduly repetitious. Evidence may be presented in written form, and all testimony must be under oath. Hearsay evidence may be used to supplement or explain other evidence, but shall not be sufficient to support a finding by me unless it would be admissible over objections in a civil action. Our order of presentation today is as follows. The Development Services staff begins with a presentation, an introduction, and a presentation of their staff report and findings for a period of 5 minutes. We'll then go to the applicant. The applicant has 15 minutes total to present their case, including any experts they would like to include. We'll then go to proponents, anyone who would like to speak in favor of an application. Everyone together, 15 minutes. The same is true next when we go to opponents, anyone who would like to speak against an application. Everyone combined, 15 minutes. We'll then circle back to the Development Services Department. They have 5 minutes to make any comments based on today's testimony or changes. And then finally, the applicant has the last word. The applicant has 5 minutes for rebuttal. You'll notice on our agenda that we have the beginning of the hearing starts with variances, and that is the specific order in which those presentations are made. The only difference is when you get to the end of the agenda, the special use applications, the applicant goes first and Development Services goes second, but otherwise identical in process. Now, regarding that time frame for proponent or opponent testimony, those 15 minutes each, when we get to that section of the hearing, I will ask you to raise your hand if you plan to speak. We have people in the room that want to speak, and I believe we also have people online that are participating virtually. So we'll get a show of hands, a count of how many people want to speak either in favor or against, and we will divide that 15 minutes as equally as we can. If there are a number of people that want to speak, it's best to organize your team. So perhaps a speaker takes the lead in making that presentation, and then others can put their name and address on the record. You can also stand and show your opposition or support in the room, and all of that is appropriate. So just know that we are going to keep those time frames pretty tight, and so 15 minutes each way is how we're going to go. When you get up to speak, either in the room or online, if you could start by giving us your name and address for the record. We are recording this hearing, and we want to make sure we have your information correct. When you're done, if you're in the room, when you're done at the podium, if you could see Jermaine. Jermaine, raise your hand. Jermaine is with the clerk's office. He is keeping a written log on top of the dais. So when you're done, if you could go over there and sign in, also with your name, address, and the case number to which you spoke to make sure we have that correct. Let me now turn to Mr. Delfino. He is with the County Attorney's Office, and he will provide you the legal requirements for appealing a decision made by a land use hearing officer. Mr. Delfino.
Good morning. Jared Delfino, Assistant County Attorney. This land use hearing officer public hearing is for variance and special use requests. This is the time for interested parties to present evidence and testimony. Once the land use hearing officer has closed a case, the record of that case is also closed, and no new evidence regarding that case may be submitted thereafter. Any decision by the land use hearing officer may be appealed to the Land Use Appeals Board. Should a decision of the land use hearing officer be appealed, The record evidence, including the testimony presented at this public hearing, shall be the only evidence that is subject to review by the Land Use Appeals Board. In reaching a final decision on petitions, the Land Use Appeals Board will consider the decision of the Land Use Hearing Officer and the record evidence, including any evidence from this public hearing. If an appeal is filed, the Land Use Appeals Board hearing shall consist of oral argument by the party appealing the decision, county staff, and any interveners, each of whom may be represented by legal counsel. The following shall have standing to appeal a decision of the Land Use Hearing Officer or to intervene in an appeal. 1, the applicant, or 2, anyone who appeared before the Land Use Hearing Officer, presented testimony, or other evidence and is adversely affected by the decision of the Land Use Hearing Officer. It is the role of the County Attorney's Office to ensure that no new evidence or testimony is allowed before the Land Use Appeals Board that was not presented to the Land Use Hearing Officer at today's hearing. The County Attorney will recommend that the Land Use Appeals Board disregard evidence or testimony that is outside of the record at today's public hearing. Any evidence presented to the Land Use Appeals Board that is outside the record created at today's hearing could jeopardize the legality of the Land Use Appeals Board decision, and the presenter of that evidence could hurt their own cause. The safest course of action, then, is for you to write down any comments you make today and repeat them to the Land Use Appeals Board. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. As I mentioned, all testimony must be under oath. So if you plan to speak today, if you could please stand, raise your right hand, and I'll swear you in. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you so much. Please have a seat. All right. With that out of the way, then, Ms. Marshall, we are ready to call the first case.
On today's agenda, we have no vested rights, fee waivers, remands, reconsideration requests, or site development variance requests, which brings us to Section G, sign variance request. Item G1, variance 260856. The applicant is Addie Mentry. The request is a variance to sign requirements. Staff findings will be presented by Sam Ball.
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning. Sam Ball of Hillsborough County Development Services. The applicant is requesting 3 variances, which would allow for a new monument sign to be installed on a redevelopment site located at the southeast corner of Northdale Mabry Highway and Hote Road intersection. According to LDC Section 7030C1C, a proposed monument sign of 8 feet tall would require a 19-foot setback. The applicant is requesting a 10.5-foot reduction to the front setback, which would result in an 8.5-foot setback from the Northdale Mabry Highway right-of-way. Based on LDC Section 7030C2A2, the subject property having approximately 650 square feet would be limited to 2 ground signs along the Northdale Mabry frontage. Variance 080660 allowed the property to have up to 4 signs along Northdale Mabry, but because sign C, which this sign would replace, was designated as a pole sign, and the variance of a ground sign or a monument sign, this variance application requires a request to allow an additional sign because the proposed sign is a monument sign. The applicant is requesting to increase the allowable number of signs by 1, which would allow 3 signs on the property facing Northdale Mabry Highway. It's noteworthy to point out that through eminent domain, the most southern of the 4 signs that were approved is now on the public right-of-way instead of on the subject property. LDC Section 7030C2A2 requires ground signs to be at least 150 feet apart. The applicant is requesting a 60-foot decrease to this requirement to allow 2 of the signs to be located 90 feet apart. This variance is necessary because variance 08660 was approved to allow only a 50-foot reduction. And based on the survey provided by the applicant, the right-of-way taking reduced the front setback of sign D that was approved in variance 08660 to 0 feet. The applicant was notified of this and decided not to include that in the variance application. That concludes my presentation. If you have any questions.
I do. I have a couple questions, and it can either be for you or the applicant. I'll just put them out there and see. First, I just want to clarify, your staff report says on the monument sign front yard setback that it's an 8.5-foot front setback. And it's a minor thing, but I just want to clarify that, make sure we have this right. The applicant in their actual request talks about 8 feet 6 inches. It could be the same thing, but I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page with that.
We are, it's exactly the same
Okay, just
thing.
want to make sure. All right. And then the separation between the ground signs, the staff report says 90 feet, and I believe that's based on the prior variance that was approved. But their actual site plan shows that it's 94 point, and then it's illegible. It looked maybe 94.39 feet. I just want to make sure what the actual request is.
Their request was, I went off based on their request. Their site plan showed,
That's the 94 is the site plan.
right, so when I looked at it, I was like, well, that gives them a little bit of flexibility in case the site development standards have to change, and they
Okay.
wouldn't have to come back for another variance.
All right, that's fine. And it wasn't clear to me which sign is actually asking for the increase in the square footage in the sign area.
Whenever there's a sign that exceeds 50 square feet, basically that excludes the possibility of additional signs. So whenever there's other signs that on the site that exceed 50 square feet, that gets put into the variance. So basically, the way that the sign code is written is that if you're allowed to have multiple signs, then you can reduce those multiple signs to one large sign.
Right.
And so whenever you have a sign that exceeds 50 square feet on the property, in order to have another sign, basically, we just include that into the variance just to cover all the bases.
Maybe that's the source of my confusion here, because I looked at the original approval, the A through E signs, and E is now off-site, I understand, and D is in the right-of-way. So it looks like B is existing and C is the new pylon sign. Is that correct?
Correct, and then the sign to the north is the one that exceeds 50 square feet per face.
So the one at the very corner at Hoyt, almost to Hoyt and Dale Mabry, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
understood. And then finally, the sign that is now in the right-of-way due to the taking. I'm going to turn to the county attorney's office and ask them if you have, and I understand the applicant's position that you advised them of it and they didn't want to address it. But what is that liability in terms of the county with a sign that is now existing in the right-of-way due to the taking?
What do you mean by the county's liability?
Is there any action that needs to be taken to remove the sign because it is in the right-of-way?
Okay.
To ask them to move it?
I am sorry if I should know the answer to this, but what's the jurisdiction of the road?
It's Dale Mabry Highway, so
Okay,
it's a
so
state road.
it's a state, okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted to double check. Have we let the Department of Transportation know about it?
No, we have not.
That's their road, right?
Right, we have not
Yeah.
let them know. But if you look at the way the road is designed, I mean, it was clear that the sign was there whenever the taking took place, and that the way the road is configured. I don't know how, and it's a very large sign, so I just don't think that it was ever overlooked.
However we got to this place, we're here, but now that we have this action, my question is there any requirement from this, now that we're looking at all of the signs and the property, to ask them to move the sign into their property and not in the right-of-way? That's my question.
Right. I mean, I would think that the Department of Transportation, I mean, they have policies and procedures dealing with those types of issues. So, my counsel to the county would be to advise the department of the encroachment into the state right-of-way.
Okay, all right, thank you. That was my only question. Thank you so much. Is the applicant here? Good morning.
Good morning, Addie Mentry, 13266 Bird Drive. I am here on behalf of HCA Healthcare and Northdale Development. We are seeking 3 sign variances. Thank you, Sam, for your presentation. For the related sign variances to the proposed HCA North Tampa freestanding emergency room located at 15403 North Dale Mabry Highway. This slide shows a general location of the subject properties. We're looking at the north of the county. The site is located along Northdale Mabry, one of the primary transportation corridors within Hillsborough County. The surrounding area consists of mix of commercial, retail, office, and residential uses that heavily rely on visibility from Northdale Mabry. This slide provides a clearer look at the subject parcel. The property is a part of a larger commercial development. Because of the original design, the parcel contains existing parking fields, drive aisles, access points, and sign locations that were worked around with the redevelopment of the freestanding ER. The site is not being developed as a brand new green field. Rather, HCA is adapting the existing commercial to provide the emergency health care services. So we are requesting 3 related sign variances. First, we're requesting a reduction in the required monument sign from 19 feet to 8.6 or 8.5, so 8.5 or 8 feet 6 inches. I know that was a question that you had. The second, we're requesting for an additional sign to increase in the allowable monument sign to 43.3 square feet. So the proposed sign meets the 50 square foot requirement for a sign, but as Sam said, because there is additional signs at the site, it maxes out the required sign.
Thank you for that.
And finally, we are requesting relief for the 150-foot separation to allow approximately a 90 feet between signs. I know that was another question that you had. The 90 feet will allow us, as Sam said, to be flexible in the placement in the island in case there is any a foot or two off that we need to kind of move it. This is the overall site plan. As you can see, the site contains existing parking, internal circulations, access, and development infrastructure. The available frontage area is already constrained by the required improvements for the ER. Those conditions significantly limited opportunities for the location of the signage while maintaining site functionality. This is a zoomed in version. So on this slide, you can see the northwest corner of the parcel. That's where HCA is being developed. This is a closer look. So the sign that is to the north in green, that is existing, and I have an exhibit to photo to show you. The red is where we are proposing the HCA monument sign. This slide depicts the proposed monument sign. The sign is designed consistent with HCA's branding standards used throughout the region. The overall design is professional, architecturally compatible with the redeveloped building, and appropriately scaled for the corridor and the land development code. The sign will provide clear identification for emergency medical services without creating visual clutter. As shown in these renderings, these are the existing signs. So the sign that is on the left side is the southern sign at that entrance, and the sign on the right is the most northern sign that we're seeking the separation from. On these, both of them don't provide adequate visibility or size for emergency services. We are also providing the proposed monument sign is in a location that an existing sign was in. So this is what the building looks like now. It used to be a CVS pharmacy, and the site has been redeveloped to bring the HCA building there. This is what the sign would look like as you're driving north on Northdale Mabry. And you can see that in relation to the existing sign that is to the north that we're asking the separation from.
Ms. Petrie, let me just, before you
Yes.
leave that point.
Yes.
So that was not clear to me either. So
Okay.
your new HCA sign replaces one of the signs we just showed?
Yes.
I see.
Oh, no, it doesn't replace one of the signs we just showed. There was an approved pole sign for CVS that was in this location.
Oh.
That is the sign that it's been removed.
Okay.
It was degraded, the cabinet and the pole. So that sign has been removed because of the redevelopment, and it would be replacing this sign.
I see, thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And this is what the sign would look like on Hote Road, the visibility in line with the northern and the southern entrance sign. So I want to go into the variance criteria. So the unique hardships. The hardships associated with this request are unique to this property. This site was originally designed for a different use and contains existing parking circulation and development infrastructure that limits sign placement options, which is also why we're proposing it in the exact location of the sign. The parcel is also part of the larger development that already contains existing monument signs that were approved in the 2008 variance. Additionally, the proposed location reflects a continuation of that previously approved location. Strict application of the code would deprive the property of visibility commonly enjoyed by similar healthcare facilities. Emergency medical facilities rely on clear identification and visibility to effectively serve the public, and we do not believe that the existing multi-tenant signs would be an adequate representation of the medical and emergency services that need to be provided for the building. The requested variance will not adversely impact neighboring properties. The sign remains appropriately sized and compatible with the surrounding corridor. The reduced sign separation does not create visual clutter because the sign serves different function for the emergency medical services. And one sign identifies the overall development, while this proposed sign specifically identifies that emergency healthcare use. This request is consistent with the intent of the Land Development Code. The code seeks to promote public safety, effective site design, and orderly development. The proposed sign directly supports those objectives by improving visibility for the medical services, and the request balances the code compliance with the practicalities of the site and the already approved variance for the site. The need for this variance, we don't believe was self-created. The constraints resulted from the inherited site conditions, existing development patterns, and operational requirements associated with the emergency healthcare. These circumstances existed prior to HCA's redevelopment efforts, and the proposed sign location reflects a continuation of the historically approved condition. The approval of this variance provides substantial public benefit and substantial justice. The sign improves visibility and accessibility for emergency medical services. Patients seeking urgent care can benefit from clear site identification and improved wayfinding. Denying the request would create operational hardship while providing little corresponding public benefit. And the last thing I have is the average daily driver count for this corridor, or this section of the corridor on North Del Mabry, which is 58,000 average daily drivers. So it carries substantial daily traffic, and for a healthcare facility, particularly a freestanding emergency room in this heavily, residential outside of the main, thoroughfare, it's essential, and the proposed monument sign helps ensure that patients and visitors can quickly identify the facility. Based on the unique site constraints, historical sign approvals, operational needs of the emergency healthcare facility, and the significant public benefit provided by the improved visibility, we respectfully request your approval. I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You've answered the majority of my questions through your presentation, so thank you for that. Just one thing, because I raised it earlier, I just want to raise it with you.
Yes, ma'am.
That sign that is in the Del Mabry right-of-way, just want to get your take on that for the record.
Yes. So I do know that FDOT was, they worked with the owner, and they do know that sign is there. And once construction happens, they will have to remove the sign. For now, they are not. But if there is a road widening, and then like any utility work has to be done, they are aware, and FDOT is aware of the sign, and they will have to remove that sign.
So not this construction for your client, not that construction, but some
Yes.
future construction or improvement to the roadway?
Yes.
I see. Okay. That was my only question. Thank you so much.
Thank
Don't forget
you.
to sign in. All right, we'll now turn to anyone that would like to speak in support. Anyone in favor? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition to this request? No one. Ms. Marshall, anything else?
Nothing further.
All right. Ms. Dorman, any other comments regarding that sign before I move on?
I don't have any other comments if you don't have any other questions.
I don't. Thank you, though, so appreciate it. Ms. Mentry, you have the last word if you'd like it. All right, thank you then. With that, then, we'll close variance 26-0856 and go to the next case.
This brings us to section H, variance requests. Item H1, variance 260584. The applicant is Eric Langston. The request is a variance to fence and wall requirements, and staff findings will be provided by Sierra James.
Good morning.
Good morning, Sierra James with Development Services. The applicant is requesting a variance to the maximum fence requirement in the front yard of 2 feet to permit a 6-foot high fence within the front yard. The site is currently under code enforcement violation for a fence greater than 4 feet within the front yard. I'm available for any questions at this time.
Just a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
There was a letter in the file in opposition saying that, or of concern, I guess, saying that the notice was not in order for a May hearing. And I just want to confirm for the record that this adjacent property owner notice is in order. If we can do that. I know that you don't personally verify that, so
Yes,
if we could do
ma'am.
that while we move along in the hearing, Ms. Marshall, I appreciate it. Thank you for that, I appreciate it. All right, is the applicant here? Good morning.
Hi, my name is Morgan Langston. I'm here on behalf of ETL Contractors. Address is 6109 Hastings Cove Lane, Plant City, Florida, 32565. So the subject property is a corner lot along Glen Harwell Road and Fritzky Road. For those that know the area, that road is frequently used as a cut-through route to Highway US 92 when I-4 is congested. As a result, the roadway experiences high traffic volume, including semi-trucks and excessive cars traveling at excessive speeds. So we are requesting a 2-foot variance to the 4-foot fence requirement to make it 6 feet in total. The homeowner does have kids and pets, so this does impose to keep the family safe.
All right. Do you have a picture of this fence?
Yes, it should be. Give me 1 second.
Oh, yeah. Are you going to show me a picture from your phone?
No, ma'am, I don't have one.
Okay, all right. Can you describe it? Because as I read the application, it looks like just the masonry columns
Yes,
exceed the
ma'am,
height.
and it is aesthetic to the house, so it matches the same colors. It is masonry block with wood boards going across, so it matches the aesthetic of the house.
Is it only the columns that exceed the 4 feet?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you hear from any of the neighbors as a part of your notice?
We did not hear anything back from them directly. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's the only question. Thank you so much. Don't
Okay.
forget to sign in.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? Anyone in favor? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition? All right, Ms. Marshall, did we confirm the notice?
Yes, so it wasn't noticed for May, but it was noticed properly for June, and in order for June.
Perfect. Did you have any other comments before I move on?
Nothing else.
All right.
Thank you.
Ma'am, you have the last word if you'd like it, but you don't have to take it. All right, thank you. Then with that, we'll close variance 26-0584 and go to the next case.
Next item is item H2, variance 260704. The applicant is Angelo's Florida Properties. The request is a variance to landscape buffering and screening requirements. Staff findings will be provided by Michelle Montalbano.
Good morning.
Good morning, Michelle Montalbano, Development Services. The applicant is requesting a variance to buffering and screening standards to waive a required 6-foot wall within a Type C 30-foot incompatible use buffer for a proposed warehouse. Per LDC Section 606C5, it states the screening standard C requires a masonry wall 6 feet in height and finished on all sides with brick, stone, or painted pigmented stucco. The variance requested to eliminate the required 6-foot wall to result in a 30-foot Type C buffer along the southern property boundary without a 6-foot wall. The type C buffer is required because the property to the south is zoned RMC 20 and occupied by multifamily use. The multifamily property does have an existing 8-foot wall along that boundary, but since the finished grade of where that wall is placed is 4 feet lower than the finished grade of the warehouse, that existing wall was not considered sufficient for the required screening for this new use.
Is the wall on the subject property or the adjacent property?
The adjacent property.
Okay, all right. That was my only question.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Is the applicant here? Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Tim Atkinson, 6550 St. Augustine Road, Jacksonville, Florida.
All right, you just tell us a little bit about your request.
Well, we've got a warehouse project. The reason we thought we'd qualify for a buffer variance is the existing wall is 8 feet on the property line. We still have the 30-foot setback, and we have we've met all the planting requirements. We're just asking for a variance for the second wall that'll be, 25 feet away. Really, the architect first brought up the biggest concern. We have windows on the south side and offices, and basically the view from the office will be the new wall we put in. And that's our request. Yeah.
So you want to use the existing wall that's on the adjacent property to the south?
Yeah, it was on the property line.
Okay.
So.
And have you heard from that property owner to the south?
No, I got one call with a question about what the variance was about, and kind of explained what I just said, and that's the only call I've received.
Okay, that was my only question. Thank you so much. You could please sign in before you go.
Okay.
All right, is there anyone in the audience or online that would like to speak in support? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition? No one. Ms. Marshall, anything else?
Nothing further.
All right, sir, do you have anything further before we close? Anything else to add? All right, thank you for that. We'll close then variance 26-0704 and go to the next case.
Next item is item H3, variance 260710. The applicants are John S. and Susanna M. Weller. The request is variance to fence requirements, and I'll present the staff findings. The applicant's requesting a variance of 2 feet to the maximum fence height of 6 feet to allow an 8-foot-high fence within the rear yard of the property. Happy to answer any questions.
None at this time. Thank you so much.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, a variant increase in height for a rear fence, rear yard, from 6 feet to 8 feet. And the reason for that is there's a new neighbor in our backyard that is creating quite a bit of privacy issues, significant ongoing impacts for noise, visual screening that cannot be mitigated by standard 6-foot fence. The property directly behind us, where we want to raise the height of the fence, by the way, that's just on the west side of our property, not the entire circumference of our property. There's a number of heavy vehicles being parked in that area, along with RVs, trailers, and commercial lawn care equipment. The new neighbors apparently have started a business out of their property. In addition, this rear yard is sometimes used for outdoor activities. For example, they had a religious ceremony with a large tent in their backyard. Lots of speakers and noise going on all day. Increasing the fence height to 8 feet is the minimum necessary to restore reasonable privacy, reduce visual intrusion, and mitigate noise impacts while maintaining the residential character of the neighborhood. Our neighbors support us, and the HOA supports us.
All right. Sir, if you could give us your name and address real quick.
I'm sorry,
That's
John
okay.
Mueller, 2506 Oak Landing Drive.
Thank you so
Brandon
much.
Ford.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Just a quick question. I read all the backup in your reasons for this increase in fence height, and I just wondered, one, have you talked to that neighbor? Have you talked to them about this?
The neighbor has rented it to a large party.
I see.
And we've sent letters to the owner, but we haven't gotten any response.
All right. And have you talked to code enforcement about this issue? Because that's a single-family zoning district that property is in.
Yeah, that was going to be eventually another stop, but we started with this first.
Understood.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that was my only questions. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. If you could please
Thank
sign
you.
in. All right. Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? Anyone in favor? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition to this request? No one. Ms. Marshall?
Nothing further.
Anything else? Okay. Sir, you have the last word if you'd like it. Anything else to add? All right. Thank you. Then with that, we'll close variance 26-0710 and go to the next case.
Next item is item H4, variance 260724. The applicant is Ice Dream Shop LLC. The request is a variance to the Lutz Rural Area Development Standards, lot development standards, sign requirements, dumpster and recycling collection space requirements, accessory structure standards, and landscape and buffering requirements. Staff findings will be presented by Sierra James.
Thank you.
Good morning. Sierra James with Development Services. The applicant is seeking a variance to the Lutz Rural Development Standards, lot development standards, and maximum building sign sizes to accommodate requirements triggered by the requested improvements to the current development. They are requesting a variance to 30906A to eliminate architectural features including roof pitch, external cladding, and design features. A variance to 30906B2 is requested to eliminate fencing and wall requirements in commercial and office districts to allow for a chain link fence without 12 inches between spanning members. A variance to the permitted maximum sign area of 154.5 square feet to permit up to 200 square feet of sign area on the southern building facade and of 230 square feet to permit up to 300 square feet of sign area on the western building facade. A variance to 30909-2 to the location of parking between the building and right-of-way to permit parking between the principal building and US Highway 41. A variance of 5 feet to permit a front yard setback of 25 feet, a variance of 15 feet to permit a 5-foot front yard setback for the dumpster and enclosure, a variance to eliminate the required 8-foot buffer along the western property line to allow for an unrestricted area between the off-street vehicle use area and right-of-way, a variance of the required 8-foot buffer along the driveway to allow for an unrestricted area adjacent to the driveway, and a variance to the 20-foot type B buffer where the property abuts residential uses to allow for the primary structure and septic drain field to remain within the buffer area without additional screening requirements. I'm available for any questions.
Just quickly, in reading this, it seems to be easier to describe what they might comply with rather than what they want a variance from. So do they comply with any of the Lutz rural area standards? Are there some?
To my understanding, I do not believe so. This is an existing building that they just wanted to do internal renovations to, but since they are doing the internal renovations, the Lutz Rural Development Standards are now required since they want to do.
All right, understood.
That weren't required before.
Thank you. That was my only
Yes, ma'am.
question. Appreciate it. Is the applicant here? Good morning.
Good morning. Brian Wilkes with KCI Technologies. I'm here on behalf of the owner, Ice Dream Shop. Address is 150 Kelsey Lane, Tampa 33619. I do have some images to show.
Yeah, we can get somebody to help you.
Okay. Thank you. Might help the explanations.
I appreciate it.
Pictures, yeah. All right, so this is in response to, this is a structure in a site that was constructed in 1974, and it's been a general commercial use since. Our client, the new owner, simply wants to change it to an ice dream shop, their third location. And in doing so, we were sent through the site plan review process with Hillsborough County, and current land development code standards were applied, including the Lutz Rural redevelopment standards. So as you can see, this is the existing building here. In, say, probably the past 10 to 12 years, it's been a combination of things. You can see here was a barbershop and a rug and carpet outlet, and more recently, it was a service center for Arena, so it had service vehicles in and out all day and storage on the outside. This is our proposed site plan. In doing all we can to bring up to current standards, we are cutting in landscaped islands for additional landscaping next to the parking areas. We are, for safety, moving the existing connection to 2nd Avenue Southeast as far east as possible to allow for more safety between the intersection and our turn-in. DOT has asked that we shut down the full access connection along US 41, but we are allowed a one-way in. County has required a dumpster and enclosure that we can put on the south side of the building. That's the red cloud there. And otherwise, we're intending to comply with as much of the landscaping requirements as we can, given the placement of the existing building, which is around 3 feet from the property line. And also safe circulation for transportation requires a 24-foot drive aisle to the connection that we have relocated further east. And that's kind of pinpointed by the delivery trucks and solid waste vehicles to navigate in, pick up solid waste, back out, and then come out that 2nd Avenue Southeast. So as you can see in the existing picture here, we have a roof, we have sides of a building. We just want to use keep it there. The sign variances we have requested because of, you can see the top of the building built in there is a 2-foot wide sign that goes the length of the building, and we're also showing history of using the wall for art and advertising as well. The site plan. This is typical of their signage. They use the windows for the stickers and wall art. The sign is typical there, but we did want to allow for them to not have to demo a portion of the building that wouldn't be necessary to get them to have what they need there. So that. And then the additional signage along the south of the building, they anticipated like a community mural, excuse me. And we have an example. We did a neighboring property 2 blocks down last year, in which they did something like this on their south side of the building. So that'll be incorporated into the south, where you can see here, where give it a little more community look to it. So. That is what I have. I'm here for any questions you may have.
No questions at this time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Don't forget to sign it. All right. Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? Anyone in favor? Seeing no one. Anyone in opposition? No one. Ms. Marshall, anything further?
Nothing further.
All right, sir, anything else? All right, thank you. Then we'll close variance 26-0724 and go to the next case.
Next item is item H5, variance 260763. The applicant is Oscar Romero Amat. The request is a variance to minimum lot size by available utilities. Staff findings will be presented by Orlando Boris.
Good morning.
Morning. This is Orlando Borras with Development Services. At this time, the applicant is seeking a variance from the Land Development Code Section 60106 minimum lot size by available utilities. That section of the code states that you will need to have at least 1 acre of upland if you're located in the wellhead protection area, which is the case for this property. Applicant is looking to split the property into 2 more lots. Therefore, he's seeking a variance to reduce the minimum upland requirement by 0.75 acres, resulting in a 0.25 acre of upland on each lot. It is my understanding that the applicant also has gotten a permit from the the health department of the state for well and septic. I think that concludes my presentation. Not sure if you have any questions, but more than happy to answer them.
Thank you. Just one quick question. Understanding that the applicant is doing, as I read this, the applicant is doing this to subdivide the property, but taking a step back, would the variance be required if they were not subdividing the property, just to develop it in accordance with the zone?
Yes, because the whole property before being split, it's going to be about 0.51 acres. It's still below the 1 acre requirement for well and septic.
All right, thank you. That was my only question.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Is the applicant here? Good morning.
Good morning, Ms. Finch. I'm Curran Porto for the applicant, Mr. Mott. Mr. Mott's here with me today.
All right.
Your
Could you
Honor,
give us
in
your
this particular
address
case,
as well? Sir, could you give us your address as well? Thank you.
Sorry,
That's all right.
in this particular case, we had subdivided a 0.51 acre lot. We had all the approvals. We had EPC come out, no wetlands, nothing, no surface water. And the permit for the septic system was approved and installed. It's new and in good order. The tie-in is about 710 feet. It's probably worth more than the lot in expense to do so. The adjacent properties, from what we can tell, are not tied in, but I don't know that for sure. They appear to be in age far older than when the actual sewer line was installed and they began requiring people to tie into it. The main thrust of the argument about tying into the septic, I believe, is related to the common well that's in the neighborhood, why they're requiring a 4 acre minimum for having a septic system. I don't particularly know the impact of that, but the EPC did not reject our application, and the county approved it, and we relied on that to install it recently. So now we're posed with a very large expense that we did not expect. We would have made additional changes in our plans for developing this property had we known, but we were not. No one seemed to know, the county or anyone else. I'm not saying that's a requirement, but it seems like it should be. So we're asking for a variance to allow the septic as is, brand new, in place, having been approved. And we're asking for the waiver of us having to spend approximately $100,000 to $125,000 to actually trench and tie into the sewer line. Want to add? Anything you want to add?
No.
No? Okay.
All right.
That's it.
Thank you. I just want to confirm a couple things. One is you said it's about 710 feet to connect, and you're alleging that some cost to associated cost with the connection.
We estimate the cost to be about $125,000 to have it done professionally and approved by the county.
And as I read your application and the reasons for the variance, I just want to confirm again that the alleged hardship is your inability to subdivide the property if this is not granted. Is that correct?
No, ma'am, I don't think that.
Or is your hardship based on financial cost?
It's based primarily on financial hardship. The property was subdivided properly, so it was split in half. It's they're mobile home or manufactured home lots, the community. So that 0.51 acre was a rather large lot for a double-wide manufactured home. Now that it's split, it will be able to have 2. We're not asking for a variance on the second, just on the one that was installed that we already expended or had the expense of putting in the septic system.
So it's existing now, based on the permit from the health department?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
I see. All right. I think those are my only questions. Did you put your address on the record? Did I hear?
No, I did not.
Okay.
My
Could you do
address, you have the applicants. Mine is, it's Curran Porto, C-U-R-R-A-N, Porto, P-O-R-T-O. I'm at 410 South Ware, W-A-R-E, Boulevard, Tampa, Florida, 33619.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate
Thank you,
it. If you
ma'am.
could please sign in with the clerk's office. All right, is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? Anyone in favor? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition to this request? All right. Ms. Dorman or Ms. Delfino, let me just ask you about justification for hardship based on financial cost.
Madam Hearing Officer, I believe that that's a consideration that you can consider, but I think that there's case law that states that being a sole ground is not adequate for the granting of a variance.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right, then, Ms. Marshall, did you have anything else you wanted to add before I move on?
Nothing further.
All right. Sir, you have the last word if you'd like it for rebuttal. Anything else you'd like to add?
Your Honor, at a minimum, the reliance by the county should be an offset for any costs that we have to install. There is precedent that if the county approved the permit and that we expended or relied upon that approval to do what they're telling us we had to do, that we should at a minimum be able to reduce the cost that we should have in tying into the line. So I don't know, this is a new case for me. I've never had one of these before, where there's new construction, a new septic in place. It just seems very awkward to me that someone would be, after the fact, imposed upon such a hardship without any knowledge of that at the beginning. We do rely on the county, and the county does have a duty to tell us what costs we may incur in the future if we build on a specific plan that they approve. And we did everything we were supposed to do. We did not really cause or have any culpability in this mistake. It is just something that came up kind of after the fact. So I don't think the case law really applies to this specific scenario where we relied upon everybody in good faith to do what was an approved plan. That's all. Thank you
for that. I appreciate it. Then with that, we'll close variance 26-0763 and go to the next case.
Next item is item H6, variance 260770. The applicant is David Wright, TSP Companies Incorporated. The request is a variance to accessory structure requirements and lot development standards. Staff findings will be presented by Logan McCaig.
Good morning.
Good morning. Logan McCaig, Development Services, variance 260770. The applicant is requesting a variance to lot development standards for the purpose of constructing an accessory structure on the property. Per section 611.04 and 601.01, accessory structures shall not be erected in a front yard except at 50 feet or twice the standard setback. For the RSC 6 zoning district, the standard setback is 25 feet. Therefore, it is still a 50-foot front yard setback. The applicant is requesting a 40-foot variance to this setback, resulting in a 10-foot front yard setback for the accessory structure. Additionally, per section 611.04, accessory structures exceeding 15 feet in height shall meet the primary structure setbacks. The side yard setback for the RSC 6 zoning district is 7.5 feet. Applicant is requesting a 2.5-foot variance, resulting in a 5-foot side yard setback. I'm available for any questions.
Just two quick questions. In looking at the existing survey, it looks like a portion of the pool is in the wetland setback and the house is encroaches a small amount into the front yard setback, and wondered if the applicant was advised and chose not to address that in this case.
I'm sorry?
Excuse me, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
I bought the house as is. Those setbacks have been changed after that.
Hold that thought just 1 second, sir, respectfully. Let the staff answer, and then I'll call you up, but you can stay right there. It's perfectly fine, thank you.
That was not addressed during the variance review process. The applicant was not advised on it, to my knowledge.
Okay, thank you so much. Go ahead, sir, give us your name and address to start.
Ramiro Compagnoni, property owner, 12015 North Oregon Avenue, Tampa. Those setbacks have been modified since that house was built. That house was built back in the early 70s. I bought it in 2018. We didn't move the house.
Okay.
We didn't move the pool. They moved the line.
All right, that was my question.
Okay.
All right, anything else you want to add before I move on?
No, ma'am.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate it. If you could please sign in
Sure.
with the clerk's office, thanks. Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition to this request? All right, I did have that there was part of the applicant's team was participating virtually. Is that someone that wanted to speak? Is online? All right, I don't see that person on our queue. So, all right, then with that, we'll go back to Development Services. Anything further?
Nothing further.
All right, sir, you have the last word as the applicant. Anything else you want to add? All right, none at this time. Thank you so much. Then we'll close variance 26-0770 and move to the next case.
Next item is item H7, variance 260774. The applicant is Glenn Otley. The request is a variance to lot development standards. Staff findings will be presented by Chris Granleonard.
Good morning.
Good morning. Chris Granleonard, Development Services. Here to present variance application VAR 26-00774. It's for a residential property located at 13318 Jordan Ranch Road. The applicant is requesting a variance to allow the construction of a 3-vehicle attached garage addition. Specifically, the variance applies to the side yard setback requirement within the AS1 zoning district. The Land Development Code requires a 15-foot side yard setback in this zoning district. The applicant is requesting an 8-foot variance, resulting in a 7-foot setback along the northwest property line. That concludes my report. Glad to answer any questions.
None at this time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is the applicant here? Is the applicant here for case variance 26-0774? It's agenda item H7. All right, Ms. Marshall, any word on the applicant?
No, we can try to give him a call.
Okay, so let's do this. We'll hold this case and come back to it once we figure out the status of the applicant. And we will move on to the next case, H8.
It's item H8, variance 260793. The applicant is Susan Chandra. The request is a variance to fence and wall requirements, and I'll present the staff findings. The applicant is requesting a variance of 2 feet to the maximum 4-foot wall height within the front yard to allow a 6-foot high wall. Property is designated as a Hillsborough County Historic Landmark. The Certificate of Appropriateness Review, COA 2026-05, has been approved with the following condition. The variance must be approved for the increase of wall height. If not approved, the wall shall be limited to 4 feet in height in the front yard. Happy to answer any questions.
None at this time. Thank you. Is the applicant here? Good morning.
Morning. Corey Carnes, 17918 Barn Close Drive, Lutz, Florida 33559. I'm the engineer representing the applicant. So this area has become substantially more heavily trafficked after this applicant's been here for about 55 years, they said. So in this area, they've done what they could to provide a buffer to the Lake Magdalene Boulevard connection between Florida and Bears Avenue. Being as there's a school, a church, and substantial traffic flow in this area, the applicant is now facing a substantial impact to their sound, and looking to mitigate that with this wall They are allowed the 4-foot wall, but felt that the additional 2 feet was necessary to continue to help support their well-being and their ability to stay on the property as long as they've been here. At no fault of their own, the growth has just continued to push more and more visible impacts in the morning and in the afternoons to their area. When asked to provide to request a variance, they said that they want to comply with everything expected of them. They're even going as far as to leave their hedges and things up to keep the wall behind the hedges. They do recognize that the area does have similar walls that are above the 4-foot requirement within 1,000 feet of their property. The Avila community is right behind there and has a beautiful 8-foot wall that stretches the majority of this roadway. Across the street from them, around the bend, there is a community that has another wall that has both 4- and 6-foot walls. The hope is to put a similar wall there, block wall, maintain their columns every 15 feet, and keep the same aesthetic in the area to make it still be as presentable as possible for the county, but also to gain that benefit of the sound mitigation and privacy and just the impacts to their use of the property as the owners. At this point, I think Colleen already identified the certificate of appropriateness. We've gone through the process and got the approvals that we need, and we're respectfully hoping that the county approve the additional 2 feet. That's all I have.
All right, thank you so much.
Yeah.
No questions at this time. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? Anyone in favor? Seeing no one. Anyone in opposition? No. Ms. Marshall, anything else?
Nothing further.
Sir, anything else from you before I move on? All right, thank you. Then with that, we'll close variance 26-0793. Any word on that applicant, or are we still searching?
I think we're still working on it.
Okay, all right. Then we'll go to H9.
Next item, item H9, variance 260809. The applicant is Mayra Lira. The request is a variance to accessory dwelling requirements. I'll present the staff findings. The applicant's requesting an increase in the maximum accessory dwelling living space to designate the existing mobile home as an accessory dwelling in order to build a new principal dwelling on the subject property. A variance of 60 square feet is requested to increase the maximum living area within the accessory dwelling to 960 square feet. The property is 43,571 square feet in size, and the proposed principal dwelling is 3,840 square feet in size, therefore allowing for this subject variance to be requested. Happy to answer any questions.
Yes, I just had a quick question. If the existing mobile home is designated as the accessory structure, is there a time limit for them to construct the principal structure?
For it to be designated as an accessory dwelling, they'll have to have the permit in review for the principal dwelling.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I appreciate that. Is the applicant here? Good morning.
Good morning.
If you give us your name and address, please.
Myra Lira, 12222 Begin Drive in Riverview, Florida, 33534.
Thank you. And just tell us a little bit about your request.
I did the variance just so I'm able to keep the mobile home and still be able to build a home in front.
Okay.
Yes.
Pretty straightforward. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to add?
No.
Okay. Don't forget to sign in. Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? Anyone in favor? See no one. Anyone in opposition? No one. Ms. Marshall, anything else?
Nothing further.
All right. Ms. Lira, anything else before I move on? Good. All right. Then with that, we'll close variance 26-0809 and go to the next case.
Next item is item H10, variance 260845. The applicant is Melodies Guevara Lorente. The request is a variance to lot development standards, and staff findings will be presented by Logan McCaig.
Morning. Logan Craig, variance 260845. The applicant is requesting a variance to lot development standards for the purpose of permitting an existing home and addition on the property. Per section 60101, a minimum of 5-foot front yard setback is required in the RSC 9 zoning. That's front yard. A 5-foot side yard setback, is required in the RSC 9 zoning district. Applicant is requesting 1-foot variance, resulting in a 4-foot side yard setback, and a minimum of 20-foot front yard setback is required in the RSC 9 zoning district. Applicant is requesting a 10-foot variance, resulting in a 10-foot front yard setback. We have no further findings available for any questions.
No questions. Thank you so much. Is the applicant here? Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. You can pull that down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, I'm translating for the applicant.
Okay. Can you give us your name and address?
Yes, Yaelin Torres, Artola, 3015 West Abdullah Street, Tampa, Florida, 33607.
Thank you so much. Go ahead.
Okay.
Oh, you can give your address. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, so the applicant is requesting a reduction of the right setback from 5 feet to 4 feet and a reduction of the backyard setback from 20 feet to 10 feet. The applicant purchased the property existing the way that it is. And let's see here. The strict application of the territorial development code would deprive the owner of the reasonable use of the property, as it would require the demolition of the existing additions that have been used as a part of the dwelling, and this would impose a unnecessary burden on the owner.
Dile mi nombre y la dirección de la casa.
Okay. The owner's name is Mercedes Escalante. The property address is 7227 Donald Avenue, Tampa, Florida, 33614.
Tienes que decirle también que ella va con los arquitectos y los ingenieros van a llevar todo a código.
Okay, so she has met with architects and an engineer, and they're going to do everything up to code. The only thing that they're asking for is for the structure, that they don't have to do any demolition of the existing structure, but everything else will be up to code.
All right. Just to confirm on the record, when she bought the property, this addition was already there?
Yes, it was already there.
All right. That was my only question.
Okay.
Thank you both so much. I appreciate it. If you could both sign in.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition? Yes, sir. Come forward. Give us your name and address, please.
Good morning. My name is Milo Page, and my address is 7218 North Himes Avenue, 33614. And I have lived there since 2014, and this property is adjacent to the subject property here on Donald Avenue. My backyard intersects their backyard. And so I'm here as a concerned neighbor, having received the letter and having read as much of the information that I could about this. And if I'm seeing an argument here that a variance to the setback is going to provide reasonable use to the property, and I'm wondering if reasonable use of a single-family home is what's alleged here in the code enforcement complaint, that this house has been converted into a 4-unit rental property. It has been listed on Airbnb. So I just would want to register that concern and question.
All right. I appreciate your comments. It's not, the process is not for you to ask me a question, but if you can certainly state your concerns and views regarding your opposition on the record.
Oh, okay, thank you. Well, that's why I'm here, to simply reflect what I'm reading, and that it is a concern to have a home that is zoned for single family to, as alleged here, be converted to a 4-unit rental property on Airbnb. And one could argue that perhaps does alter the character of the neighborhood when the surrounding houses are single-family.
Okay. All right. Does that conclude your comments?
It could. I don't know if this, just as a supplemental in terms of any personal impact here, request permission to walk around? May I?
Oh, what would you like to do?
I
No, sir.
No.
We have an ability to show something overhead, but we don't take evidence by a phone or a tablet because you cannot submit it. It's not something tangible you can submit it to the record.
Okay, well, I won't bother with this other than just to describe it.
Absolutely.
What I photographed on Friday night was a blinking, almost like a strobe light from the back of the, it's the addition that goes into the backyard. And when this unit is occupied, when that light is on, because it's so close to the back fence, it has a kind of strobe light effect that can actually penetrate through the blind of one of the bedrooms. But again, that's a trivial personal concern. The reason I came down here was as a concerned neighbor, concerned for the neighborhood.
All right. Thank you, sir. I
Okay.
appreciate you
Okay,
coming down in your
thank you, ma'am.
testimony. And don't forget to sign in. Anyone else that would like to speak in opposition? Hold on one second. All right. Seeing no one. Ms. Marshall, if you could address the gentleman's concern about the potential rental of this property for multiple units.
So the property is zoned RC9, which would just allow for single-family residential. As far as rentals, we don't have any restrictions in the Land Development Code that would prohibit renting the property, but it couldn't be divided into multiple units. That would change the use.
It could not be divided into multiple units.
Correct.
Correct. All right. Thank you so much. Did you have anything you wanted to add before we move on? Anything else? Hold on. You'll get a chance. Hold on one second.
The only other, with single-family, the rental, it does have to be at least a week or more. It doesn't allow less than a week.
Okay.
Based
All
on the
right.
definition.
Thank you for that clarification. All right. If you want to come back, you have 5 minutes for rebuttal. Just give us your name again, just for the record.
Yaelin Torres, and then Melades Guevara. We just want to say that the owner is aware of, the situation, and she is going to stop renting the property. Like I said before, she's going to comply and, do everything up to code. So the property is no longer going to be Airbnb'd.
All right.
Pero por ahora está en Airbnb hasta que se acabaran las.
Yeah, she just has to fulfill the current reservations but she is closing she's not going to have an Airbnb anymore.
All right. And just for the record, you are the owner of the property.
No.
No.
She's representing the owner.
Okay. So, but your testimony is the owner of the property is aware that, and this will stop.
Yes.
Understood.
Sí,
All right.
hablamos también con el condado, con el departamento de zoning y nos dijo que para rentar vacacional tenía unos mínimos de día y esas
Sí, una
cosas.
semana. Yeah, she says that the owner spoke to the Department of Zoning, and they did explain to her, in order to rent the unit for vacationing, that there has to be a minimum amount of days.
Right. That was Ms. Marshall's testimony. Right. Okay. All right. Anything else before we close?
No, that would
All
be
right.
it.
Thank you both so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
With that, we'll close variance 26-0845. Before we leave the variance section, I just want to touch base on that applicant that was not here. Any word?
Yes. We were able to get a hold of them, and they are on virtually now.
Okay. Then we'll go back and open case agenda item H7. And how far did we get along? Did we get the staff testimony?
Yes.
I believe we did, right?
Yep.
Okay. So is the applicant available online? Case number variance 26-0774. Is the applicant available online?
It would be Mr. Glenn Otley. Looks like he is It's showing up on the meeting.
You have to give it the second
There we go.
that it says mobile Wi-Fi. Yeah, if I have to talk, I want to make sure it works good. That's why I said, but I'll pick up my phone. It's going to work good. I just use it.
Mr. Otley, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, you have to turn on, it's a policy of the county that you have to have your
Yes,
camera on as well.
Yeah, let me tell it.
Thank you. And then could you start by giving us your name and address, please?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, I don't see your camera on yet.
Let me just there finish. Just give me 1 second. Good.
All right, I do see you. If you could give us your name and address for the record before you begin.
Okay, my name is Glenn Utley, and my address is 7011 Alafia Avenue, Riverview, 33578.
All right, if you could just tell us a little bit about your variance request.
My apologies for not being present because I got an email from, I just found out it's a scammer that told me the process was done, and they actually requested a $4,000 payment, which fortunately we haven't paid as yet. So our request is for a reduction in the side setback of the property, which I think now is 15, and we want to reduce it to 8 or 7. I don't have the document with me because I actually was on the road. I just stopped by. And it's in order to build a three-car garage, because the owner has a lot of vehicles from his job, recreation vehicles, and don't like the idea of parking these vehicles outside in the neighborhood. There's a limit of the height of a detached garage, and he also has a boat that he doesn't want to park on the outside. So you want to enclose everything. At the same time, you try to keep the aesthetics of the property, of the building, the house, the same, so that it doesn't affect the market value of the adjacent properties, etc. So we had done a drawing showing the garage and the attachments. So it looks like it's not an afterthought to the building, to the house. It looks like it's part of the structure, the initial design. So it fits in, it gives that kind of Mediterranean look with the garage doors and everything, because it already has some garage on the other side. So it's just, it's basically the property is now zoned as architectural residential, and not most residential property setback of 7 feet is not really detrimental, as well as we have spoke to the adjacent neighbor, and they don't really have a problem with the issue, as long as everything is done the way we show it on the drawings.
All right. Does that complete your presentation? Mr. Otley, does that conclude your comments? Is that everything you wanted to say?
Let me see if I can switch my Wi-Fi, because I'm not hearing clear. I didn't get the last, what it was said.
Just to ask if that was if that concludes your presentation.
Dispatch.
All right.
I was hearing really good.
Can you hear me now?
That's good.
Have we lost the connection with him?
Yeah, I lost in the comment. Let me see if I can.
I don't think we've lost it if he replies that he lost it. Okay. All right. Mr. Otley, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. I just have one question. The variance criteria response that you completed in your application talks about a future land use change from agricultural to residential. Was there an actual application made to change that future land use category, or are you thinking just in terms of the actual land use of the property?
Let me see if I can get the meeting on my phone, but I'm on my iPad and it's patchy. I think the question was the future land use. I'm not sure. I didn't get it first because it's patchy. Future land use is residential. I'm not sure what the question is, but I know that if that is possible to change the zoning to residential, the owner would like to do.
Okay. All right. That was my only question. I appreciate it. So we'll move on with the rest of the hearing. Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support of this application? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition? No one. Ms. Marshall, anything else?
Nothing further.
All right. Mr. Otley, you have the last word before I move on. Do you have anything else you'd like to say?
I hope that you guys consider, because he's trying to make the neighborhood look a little better. And I spoke to a few neighbors that called me, and I explained to them what we plan to do, and they each didn't have a problem, because what they didn't want is for him to install any kind of like manufactured garage, like those aluminum buildings. Most of the neighbors kind of don't want that. So when I showed them the rendering of what we intend to do, they each said that it only helps the neighborhood. And so I hope you guys can take that into consideration. And at the same time, the other things that I wrote in my information is that sometimes he works from home. He has 2 young kids, so it's kind of a convenience to have the work vehicle on site, so that he can, do family business while his wife's go to work and stuff like that. So that's all I have. Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much for your testimony. I appreciate it. With that, then we'll close variance 26-0774. That concludes the variance portion of our hearing. So I think given the next case, it's probably appropriate just to take a quick 5-minute break, and then we'll come back by the back of the room. Let's just say 10:30, we'll resume the hearing. Thank you very much. right, welcome back, everyone. We are out of recess for the June 15th, 2026 Land Use Hearing Officer hearing. And with that, then, Ms. Marshall, we are ready to call the next case.
This brings us to Section I, Special Uses. Item I-1, Special Use 260430. The applicant is United Foundation Incorporated. The request is a special use for a school. I will present the staff findings after presentation by the applicant.
All right. As you recall, the special uses, the applicant goes first, so we are ready for that section. Good morning.
Good morning, Ms. Finch. My name is Mark Bentley, 400 North Ashley Drive, Tampa, representing NADIB Foundation, the foundation behind the proposed Apex School. Before I get started, would you be amenable to granting up to an additional 5 minutes if necessary?
We will do that because it seems like there's a significant amount of opposition to this, so I will give them the same courtesy of an additional 5 minutes.
That's great. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Thank you. As you're aware, as a longstanding planner, a school is the textbook residential support use, and the zoning's ASC 1, so the client is seeking a private school, kindergarten through 8th grade, up to 1,000 students, is a special use. Under the LDC, there are only 2 criterion that apply to special uses. Those would be found under 61188. And in this case, the staff has recognized that the use complies, specifically on section 7.2, quote, based on the above findings, staff finds the special use request complies with section 61188 schools and recommends approval with conditions. Our client accepts the proposed conditions in totality. One condition that's not set forth in the conditions is our client has agreed to, as a result of some feedback from some of the surrounding neighborhood, not to light the athletic facilities. So there's a condition, number 5, that references lighting for athletic facilities shall, and I'm paraphrasing, not have an adverse impact, et cetera. So that should be changed. There are no objections from any review agency. The school board didn't weigh in or comment on this application. Both the Planning Commission staff and Development Services staff have recommended approval with conditions. Just briefly, Apex Academy is a K through 8, provides an educational opportunity unique to Hillsborough County. It will utilize a mastery-based learning, which is learning, becoming an expert to a certain degree at your own pace. It's also combined with artificial intelligence, adaptive, personalized instruction, and bridges the gap between elite private education and public options through the Florida Empowerment Scholarship Program. What I provided you at tab 2 is a greater description and more detailed of the school itself. One of the founders of the school is Ashok Bagdi, and Ashok was apparently the most high-demand school in Hillsborough County, charter school, is Patel High School at USF, and Ashok was one of the founders of that school as well. I guess they get about 1,000 applications a year, and they only accept 200 or 250. As I mentioned, there's staff recommendations for approval. Development Services, special use meets all requirements, including compatibility. Planning Commission finds the special use consistent with the Lutz Community Plan, the overall county comp plan, Lutz design standards in section 3.09. And there's a paragraph that kind of sums up, I think, the compatibility situation. That's on page 4 at the bottom of the Planning Commission report. It says, quote, the school section of the plan identifies education as a high priority for the community and emphasizes that the planning, design, and development of schools should reflect and be compatible with the character of the surrounding area. As proposed, the school incorporates site design operational measures intended to maintain compatibility, et cetera, et cetera. Therefore, the request is consistent with the goals and intent of the Lutz Community Plan, and on and on. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about since this isn't a rezoning, the law is a little bit different. I know you're familiar with it, but just to get this on the record, is a special use carries a presumption of being a permitted use under Florida law, and that was established in both the Irvine case and Dussault case, and I'm giving you copies of those in the backup. Those are at 9B and 9A. So it's different than rezoning. A special use applicant simply has to meet their burden of proof is to demonstrate that the number one, the use is allowed, and secondarily, that the use meets the articulated criteria. Once the applicant does that, the burden then shifts to any third party or the local government to demonstrate with substantial competent evidence on the record at the proceeding that the use does not, in fact, meet the criteria. So in this case, the government has conceded that we've met our burden. Also important component from a legal standpoint to this proceeding, these are appellate cases found at 9D and I. Staff reports of professional staff based on facts are considered substantial competent evidence to support the approval of special use. And here again, both Planning Commission and Development Services, these professional planners prepared very thorough, fact-intensive reports opining that the application meets all standards and criteria articulated in all the applicable plans and codes. Therefore, the positive staff reports by these experienced professionals are sufficient in and of themselves to support our burden. However, we intend to bolster that through some of the documentation I already provided you, which are expert reports, resumes, case law, staff reports, and also we're going to have the testimony from our transportation engineer and professional planner. Tab 1, Ms. Finch, these are previously approved schools through special use process, and this is in the range of from 2023 to 2025. There are 10 schools, all approved. 8 of the 10 required transportation design exceptions or variances because of access to substandard roads, which seems like a pretty common issue with schools. So this is similar to our situation where the county engineer, Mike Williams, has conditionally approved a design exception for Holly Road, which is the northern boundary, the northern street off Dale Mabry. So from my perspective, our project is virtually indistinguishable from most of the prior cases, and there appear to be no rational basis to disregard staff's recommendations in this case. Here are some major project characteristics I think are pretty important. 75% of the 24-acre parcel will remain open space. 4 acres of tree farm with mature trees will remain in the northeast portion of the project to provide significant buffering to residential and a horse farm located to the east, on the east side of Holly Lane. The project's utilizing only 50% of its FAR. No lighting of athletic fields. Project is providing more than double required parking. No waivers or variances to the LDC are being sought. And Holly Lane is designed so that when someone leaves the campus, they cannot go eastbound on Holly Lane. It's all the traffic's diverted to Dale Mabry. The evolution of the site planning process, that's at Exhibit 3, and I won't get into that. Needless to say, this has been going on for a while, and there have been different iterations of the plan. Our clients really made a good faith effort to reach out to the community, and most of the changes are a result of input from the neighbors. And just generally speaking, what's transpired over the last several months through these different designs is most of the buildings in the areas of activity have been shifted westward toward Dale Mabry. And that's where on the northeast corner now there are 4 acres for the existing tree farm, retention ponds, and athletic field, but no actual activities or parking or anything like that. Exhibit 5, letters in support. These authors were opponents until our client engaged in dialogue and made as many changes as reasonably possible to get their support. The supporters generally cite our client's community engagement, Holly Road improvements, relocation of project components, and preservation of the 4-acre tree farm as the basis for the support. In fact, if I could get to the Alamo, is these opponents were on the east side of Holly Road in the highlighted area, and as a result of our client making changes to the project, they have written these 2 owners letters in support, and they're in your binder. Thank you. And Ms. Finch, it's fair to say if anybody was going to be adversely affected by the school, it would be that property directly to the east. The Exhibit 7, these are the expert CVs. First expert, Steve Henry, Principal of Traffic and Mobility. He's been a transportation engineer since 1985. Steve worked with the FDOT in the county concerning access to the subject property, queuing, and that type of thing, along with preparation and submittal of the approvable design exception to Hillsborough County. Steve will testify regarding stacking, queuing, access, and render his opinion concerning offsetting Holly Road impacts and meeting the intent of the technical manual. Steve?
Good morning.
Good morning. Steve Henry, Links and Associates, 5023 West Laurel, Tampa 33607. I'll use the Elmo here. As indicated, the project is located east of Dale Mabry and south of Holly Lane. Dale Mabry access will be a right-in only, as shown on the plan here. And then on Holly Lane, we are proposing a number of improvements. One is an eastbound right turn lane into the project. Then also to the, on westbound, we're proposing a shared left through and then also a right turn, as you can see. And in addition to that, the access is built to be able to force everybody only inbound from Dale Mabry and then outbound towards Dale Mabry. In addition to that, they've committed to having staff at that entrance during the drop-off and pickup to ensure that that occurs at that location. And then as we have met with both DOT and the county, and the DOT is in agreement with our right-in access to Dale Mabry, we're also proposing to signalize the intersection of Dale Mabry and Holly Lane. We're working with the DOT on that, and that meets the spacing criteria for a signal, and DOT is supportive of that. Obviously, we'll have to go through the permitting process for that. And then in addition to that, we've also received a design exception that's been deemed approvable by the county engineer, showing the improvements to Holly Lane from that standpoint. So that is also in the staff report, that design exception, and the county engineer's email to saying that it is deemed approvable, and he will approve it once this is approved by the land use hearing officer. In addition to that, this identifies the again, this is the Hillsborough County roadway classification map, and I'll blow it up here just so you can see here. I've put the dot here where we are. So the site is actually located, again, on Dale Mabry Highway, which is a principal arterial according to the roadway classification map. And we can talk a little bit about the school itself. As indicated on the site plan, this is actually copies of the site plan. I just highlighted that the client has committed to staggered hours for both the AM and PM peak hour, and it's about a 45-minute separation between the staggered hours for the school. In addition to that, it's agreed to an annual monitoring condition. And so this is on the site plan and also in the staff report as a condition. And then finally, agreeing to a gate condition. And what we've seen in a lot of schools that you've seen as queuing, they provide the queuing on site, but then they have a gate. And based on that gate, doesn't open until the bell rings, you have queuing out onto the road. What we've committed to here is to opening that gate at least 1 hour prior to the gate. So that way, if parents do arrive early, either in the morning or in the afternoon, the queuing is available for those residents, for the parents. And then finally, talk about the on-site queuing. So per the code, we'd be required to have about 6,100 linear feet of stacking. We were actually providing about a little over 7,100 feet of queuing. Now, in addition to that, the way the code is set up, it's based on the total number of students. It does not take into account staggered hours. So the reality is, if the code did take into account staggered hours, we'd only need about 3,300 linear feet of queuing. But we're providing it per the code, over 7,100 square linear feet of queuing available for the site. So from my standpoint, based on the locational criteria, we meet the section 61188 of the code for the locational criteria. Thank you.
Just one quick question, Mr.
Sure.
Henry, before you go. That access from the site to Holly Lane, the full access, when you say it's designed so that it's a westbound exit, tell me, how is that done? That's just not drawn on a plan. There are curbing and things that encourage that. Is that correct?
Correct. This will actually be, this is type F curb. This is type F curb and gutter. So it will restrict anybody from being able to turn. And again, not only that, but we will have staff out there at that location. So not only is it done with the curb, but also with personnel to ensure that that doesn't happen.
All right, that was my only question. Thank you so much.
Thank
Don't
you.
forget to sign in.
Yeah,
All
absolutely.
right, is there someone else you wanted to make a presentation? You've got about a little less than 6 minutes left.
Okay. Just want to mention on Holly Lane, actually, we were widening and dedicating right-of-way for that, and there's going to be 4 lanes, and I think it's described in the staff report. The next expert is Russell Ottenberg. Russell's been a planner, primarily working in Hillsborough County for about 40 years. In fact, he was the planner of record on the Lutz community, the Lutz Elementary School in 2005, went through that process. Russell?
Good morning.
Good morning. Russell Ottenberg, Planning Incorporated, 3737 Lake Joyce Drive, Land O'Lakes, Florida. My full report is an exhibit in Mr. Bentley's binder, and so this is just a summary of what is found therein. The subject property, as you have been told, has a flu designation of Res 1. It's zoned ASC 1. Again, private schools are a special use under the county code. It's a classic residential support use, allowed in almost all districts per the table of allowable uses. Property is in the rural service area. It falls within the Lutz community plan, but outside, the Lutz historic downtown area. It is currently a tree farm, but otherwise undeveloped. Of the various goals, objectives, and policies in the Hillsborough County future land use element, we have identified 18 that are applicable and for which the proposed project is consistent, and those are listed in my report. The Lutz Community Plan is intended to extend and refine the general consistency criteria found in the future land use element. There are several criteria in the Lutz Community Plan applicable to the proposed private school, and the private school complies with all of those as well. The future land use element also provides general consistency criteria for all projects, whereas the LDC is the implementing code for the comprehensive plan. As such, compliance with the LDC not only ensures consistency with the comp plan, but also compatibility with surrounding land uses. In this instance, again, private schools are designated a special use per the LDC. Special uses are presumed consistent and compatible, provided they meet the supplemental criteria found or pertaining to that specific special use. If the criteria are met, then the applicant is entitled to the permit or the approval. The 2 supplemental criteria for schools as a special use are as follows, and this is directly from the code. The site shall have direct access to a roadway shown on the current MPO long-range transportation cost affordable plan at the time of special use application, and the location, arrangement, and lighting of play fields and playgrounds will be such as to avoid interference with the use of adjacent residential property. The proposed private school meets both of these criteria and is therefore presumptively consistent, and that is reflected in Section 7.2 of the Development Services Staff Report. So not only is the project consistent, it is also compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. Both the county comp plan and the LDC have a definition of consistency. I won't read the whole thing, but a portion of it says, compatibility does not mean the same as. Rather, it refers to the sensitivity of development proposals in maintaining the character of existing development. As previously noted, the proposed project satisfies the special use criteria for schools. Therefore, it is not only presumptively consistent, but also presumptively compatible. The LDC contains numerous other development requirements applicable to the proposed private school. Those additional requirements, which are conditions of approval per section 7.1 of the staff report, such as parking and queuing requirements, as well as buffering and screening, are codified to further ensure compatibility with the surrounding neighborhood. The proposed project complies with those requirements, further ensuring the project remains compatible. In addition to the above, the DPRM further expounds on special uses, stating special uses must meet more stringent development standards than principal permitted uses. It goes on to reference the special use criteria for schools found in the LDC. These more stringent development standards have been satisfied, and thus the school is compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. Additionally, and I'll put this on the Elmo, in reviewing other similarly situated special uses.
Just letting you know you got a minute left.
Okay, I'm almost done. In reviewing other similarly situated special uses, similarly situated from a regulatory standpoint, they have all been approved. They've all been found consistent and compatible. And that's my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Don't forget to sign it.
There's another expert report. It's at tab 5. That's on lighting, which is not an issue, as I mentioned. And then just to conclude, the client agrees to all conditions. Staff reports are substantial competent evidence of compliance, and the permit shall be issued to our client. Testimony and evidence provided by our experts, Steve Henry, Russell Ottenberg, and Daniel Sutyak, the lighting expert, confirm compliance with all codes and plans promulgated by the county pertaining to special use permits for schools. The adjacent property owner's support to the east of Holly Lane is in support of the project. I talked about prior precedent. 10 of the last 10 schools have been approved, 8 requiring DEs. And if you have any questions, I'll be wrong, I guess, on rebuttal, hopefully.
I have one quick question before you leave. You mentioned, you opened with a mention of zoning condition number 5 regarding the lighting. Did you propose a language change to that?
No, it's in our narrative that we said we would not light the athletic fields. And
Okay,
never
but
made
you're
it
willing to commit to that on the record, that there'll be no lighting on the fields?
Certainly, yeah.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you,
I
appreciate it.
All right, so now we will go to Development Services.
I'll start and say, we have no objections with updating that condition number 5 to reflect that to no lighting shall be provided for the recreational athletic areas.
Thank you.
The special use request is to allow the applicant to develop approximately 24.52 acres located at the southeast corner of North Del Mabry Highway and Holly Lane in Lutz for a 1,000-student K-8 private school with a freestanding gymnasium, garden center, active play areas, and associated sports fields. The area is primarily comprised of single-family residential uses with various lot sizes. There's a PD approved for a swimming pool adjacent to the property on the southwest corner of the subject parcel. To the north, separated by Holly Lane, the property is zoned ASC1 and developed with an existing church. The surrounding properties to the east and south are zoned ASC1 and RC2 and developed with existing residential uses. The properties to the west on the western side of North Del Mabry are zoned ASC1 and BPO. Further south of the property along North Del Mabry are properties zoned PD and CN. In addition to meeting the required buffers and screening, the applicant is proposing a 20-foot wide landscape buffer along the eastern property line adjacent to Holly Lane. This, in conjunction with the large portion of the existing tree farm remaining untouched in the northeastern portion of the property, will provide buffering and screening to the residential properties on the eastern side of Holly Lane. Additionally, 2 large stormwater retention ponds and a 25-foot wide landscape buffer are proposed along the south and southeast portions of the property, which will provide further buffering and screening of the school and sports field from the adjacent residential properties to the east and south of the project. Should this application be approved, the site will be subject to site development review requirements. Staff finds the special use request complies with LDC Section 61188 for schools and recommends approval subject to the recommended conditions.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right, we'll ask now for anyone who would like to speak in support. Anyone in favor of this application, either in the room or online? Seeing no one? Oh, you know what? Thank you. No, I appreciate it. It's a good call. Normally they don't, and so in schools they do, so we will now go to the Planning Commission, who I understand are
Good morning,
virtual.
Alexis Myers, yes. Good morning, Alexis Myers, Planning Commission staff. The subject site is located in the Residential 1 Future Land Use category. It is in the rural area within the limits of the Lutz Community Plan. The addition of the K-8 school in this area would provide a gradual transition between the proposed use and the surrounding uses currently present, and is therefore consistent with Future Land Use Section Objective 3.1 and Policy 3.1.2. With the use being a residential support use, having adequate mitigation measures and compatible site design layout, the proposed special use would be compatible with the surrounding neighborhood and existing land use pattern of the area. Based upon those considerations, Planning Commission staff finds the proposed special use consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, subject to the proposed restrictions by the Development Services Department.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. I just had a quick question before we turn, and that is to confirm on the record that the Planning Commission has determined that the school is a residential support use. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And therefore permitted in the Residential 1 Future Land Use category. Is that right?
Yes.
All right, that was my only question. Thank you so much. All right, we'll once again call for those who would like to speak in support. Seeing no one online or in the room, we'll call for those that would like to speak in opposition. As I mentioned, when Mr. Bentley asked for 20 minutes, we will also give, Jermaine, we will also give the opposition 20 minutes, but we will hold that to a firm timeline. So good morning.
Good morning. My name is Jane Graham, attorney at Sunshine City Law, 16703, Early Risers, Suite 272, Land O'Lakes. I represent Demelsa Hayes, a neighboring property owner who owns a house approximately 225 feet away from the site, and also Preserve Rural Lutz, which is a nonprofit composed of members who live and own property in the immediate affected area. Both parties are especially injured by the loss of compatibility with surrounding rural uses and degradation of community character, diminished quality of life, flooding, impairment of emergency access, decrease in property values, and other injuries detailed in the attached letter and package of evidence, which I'll be submitting into the record. Joining me today are Eric Houston, who is a certified land use planner with 18 years of experience. He is online right now. He'll be testifying virtually. I also have Demelsa Hayes, Jennifer Miranda, and Micah Seal, owner of the neighboring Watermelon Swim. The applicant is not entitled to a special use as of right. Section 5.2.1 explains that special uses are certain uses that would not generally be appropriate to a zoning district without compliance to more stringent development standards or conditions. Here, even though the applicant has attempted to make accommodations and conditions, which we do appreciate, the application does not work. And the reason why, which you'll hear notably, is that to address impacts on access to Holly Lane, there's a suggested entrance on Dale Mabry, but your staff report acknowledges that this entrance will be removed once the frontage road is built. And I have in this package of evidence information that FDOT owns over 100 acres of land in the nearby area, and a 2006 report that speaks to the fact that the frontage road is something that it's on the books, and we haven't seen evidence to say it isn't. To the extent that the applicant says FDOT is okay with the signal, we would like to see proof of that in the record as well. We have not seen that in the record. Likewise, by turning Holly Lane into a local road into a 4-lane collector, it's fundamentally altering the character and quality of life. The applicant has the burden to show that it meets the requested standards and codes with competent substantial evidence, and it fails to do so. And every application must be consistent with the comprehensive plan. here, as Mr. Houston will explain, it heavily conflicts with the rural policies of the comprehensive plan and the Lutz community plan. Importantly, while the use of a school itself is okay on paper, it's the proposed size, mass, and scale of the proposed buildings that are larger than any of the surrounding properties. The proposed 135,000 square feet versus the 7,000 square feet of neighboring Watermelon Swim or the church to the north, which has around 6,000. There are also single-family homes in the area, and surrounding charter schools like Lutz Prep on 41 and Sun Lake Math and Science are also less than half the size. The application fails to meet these code requirements for direct access on a roadway in the long-range plan looking forward. And while right now on paper they have that access, it's already illusory because of this frontage road. We've also had an independent traffic engineer to review the traffic report who found fundamental flaws in the counts, and we have that in the evidence as well. I hand it over to Eric Houston and reserve the rest of my time in the end. Thank you very
so
much.
Don't forget to sign in.
Thank you.
Mr. Houston, are you online?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Good morning. Yes, if you could give us your name and address, please, before you begin.
Yes, my name is Eric Houston, 5357 Oak Bay Drive, Jacksonville, Florida.
Thank you so much. Go ahead.
Okay. And do I have the ability to share my screen or no?
Yes.
Okay. Sharing my screen. Good
I see
morning.
it.
My name is Eric Houston. Okay. I'm a certified planner through AICP with 18 years of experience. I own a planning and mobility firm called Connected Currents. I was brought in to take an independent, neutral look at the application SU-SCH-26-0430. The applicant's request to build Apex Academy, a 1,000-student K-8 school on about 24.5 acres at the corner of Northdale, Mayberry, and Holly Lane in Lutz. My job is pretty simple. Tell you whether this proposal as written today meets the criteria for approval, and my honest answer is it does not. Let's start with the land itself. This parcel sits in the rural area outside of the urban service area, is designated residential 1, zoned agricultural, and it falls inside both the Northdale Mayberry overlay and a wellhead resource protection area. The neighbors are Big Lot Homes, a church, a working tree farm, a children's swim school, and Brooker Lake. Northdale Mayberry out front carries about 43,000 cars a day. Holly Lane, on the other hand, is a little rural road, only 9 feet wide, 25 miles per hour with no sidewalks. That's the setting we're talking about for 135,000 square foot campus. Your decision runs on the 9 factors in the code, section 10.2.3E, and the proposal has to line up with the comprehensive plan and the Lutz community plan. Here's where the tables do most of the talking. As you can see, I'm sharing my screen, and I will zoom out to see if you can see the whole screen. Okay, perfect. My written report submitted to you today includes 4 tables to demonstrate consistency across the regulated documents. For your convenience today, I have compiled a 1-page fact sheet summarizing the tables and showing the top 10 arguments against approval. Table 1 lines the proposal up against the Lutz community plan, point by point. Just about every line says no. Keeping the area rural? No. Keeping big intensity inside the urban service area? No. Protecting rural roads? Also no. Table 2, the overlay, is more of a mixed bag. The applicant earns real credit for the parkway buffer and the walking path, but the whole point of that overlay is keeping Dale Mayberry functioning as an arterial. And that's exactly where the proposal falls short. Now, traffic. A licensed traffic engineer reviewed the applicant's study and found real issues. A trip split with nothing backing it up, traffic from the east on Holly Lane left out, a thin turn lane analysis, and reliance on signal that the state has not yet approved. Table 3 ties it together. You can't push 4,000 plus daily trips onto a 9-foot rural lane without turning it into a 4-lane road. And that's the exact outcome the policies were written to prevent. Last year, there was a comprehensive plan amendment, which the county's planning staff and commission found inconsistent based on transportation impacts. And that only added 1,347 trips a day, instead of the additional 3,651 trips a day that will be added with this project. Table 4 summarizes up the 9 factors, 8 ways against approval. The 9th is only partial. So why does this all matter? 3 reasons. First, scale. This is a regional scale campus in an area the plan deliberately keeps rural. Second, transportation. The one study offered to show the network can handle this use isn't reliable, and the receiving road cannot handle the additional number of trips. Third, public service. The wellhead, the stormwater plan is missing, and the fallback well and septic idea run straight into the rules protecting our drinking water. Now, I want to be fair. The wetland and the lake are both protected. The environmental agency signed off on that. The buffer and the lighting commitments are real, but those are not the things this decision relies on. My report also addresses concerns about the event-style parking and the impacts approving this plan as is will have on future growth in the area. So when the whole record, and I'll wrap this up before you start checking your emails, my recommendation is denial. Bring it back scaled to fit the rural context, or put it somewhere the roads can actually handle it. And that's a different conversation. As it sits today, this proposal runs crossways to the plans, the roads, and the rules all at once. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Just so you know, he stopped the clock for you, and it's 10 minutes and 47 seconds left.
Thank you so much.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. Okay. My name is Demelza Hayes, and Dr. Demelza Hayes, and I live at 407 Hillary Circle, which is about 250 feet away from the proposed school development. My husband, daughter, and our expected newborn are residents of this community, and I am here on the behalf of Preserve Rural Lutz, which is a nonprofit with 300 members that oppose this special use application. We have raised thousands of dollars, and we have a Facebook community page with 300 members. I am a 4th generation Tampa native, and my family purchased our house in Lutz due to the semi-rural nature of Holly Lane, because our children can ride their bikes and play with other children without having to worry about cars and strangers. Every day I commute into downtown Tampa for work. I spend an hour every day commuting for work so that my family can grow up in a rural area. I came here last year and presented my opposition to a townhome project. Interestingly enough, that project was going to bring less traffic than this project is intended to. And this project, even though the applicant says it is compatible with the Hillsborough Community Plan, I did want to point out a few things. First of all, this property is located in the rural area, which is intended to provide areas for long-term agricultural use. It has large lot rural residential uses and undeveloped natural areas. Also, as the applicant quoted, that the characteristics of different uses, activities, or designs which allow them to be located near or adjacent to each other in harmony is the definition of compatibility. But some of the other elements, this is the rest of that quote and criteria, some of the other elements that impact compatibility include vehicular traffic. And when we look at how intense this development is, bringing in 1,000 students plus staff, so potentially 250 staff plus deliveries and events, This is going to be even more intensive of a development than the townhome project that was rejected last year. Also, I want to say it's not compatible with the Lutz Community Plan. So that plan was made in 2011. It was supported by the community and by the Planning Commission and adopted by the county. It states that the area west of Highway 41 and east of Dalmabry is a rural area with single-family residential homes on half-acre or larger lots. I just want to show a quick chart. So if you look, this is Brooker Lake, and up here where it says B, that's going to be where the Holly Lane meets Dalmabry. It's that big corner up there above the lake. As you can see, every single road going off of Holly Lane is a dead-end cul-de-sac. So if we have carpooling or if we have any traffic backed up on Holly Lane, no one from our community will be able to get in or out of their home. So this is, for us, an access point. It's an access issue. It's a safety issue. I also want to show what it looks like. So right now, parts of this road are 12 feet wide. This is a picture with a school bus on it. A school bus is the only thing that can fit on it if a school bus is going down Holly Lane. We cannot fit two cars. One car has to pull over to the side. I'm going to go ahead and skip this part, but it is in our evidence. And I'm going to pass this on to Micah, the owner of Watermelon Swim, to continue.
Thank you so much. Don't forget to sign in.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning. Micah Seal, 19509, excuse me, 19509 North Dalmabry Highway. I'm the owner of Watermelon Swim, the property and business directly south to the proposed project. We specifically negatively feel we will be affected by this proposal based on restricted access, emergency concerns, as a swim school, and associated business losses. We opened in 2005 after completing the rezoning process. Because of safety concerns, I was limited to one entrance and one exit. I was not permitted a turn lane and was required to meet strict compatibility standards for the Lutz community. We teach more than 2,000 children a week. Our classes are back-to-back, short 30-minute classes. 30-minute for groups and 15-minute for private. The mornings are a peak time for young children, so our students will be uniquely impacted by traffic from the school. 10 minutes will make a difference. Our building sits just 54 feet from Dalmabry Highway. Families already wait significant periods of time to exit our property. There are frequent accidents in front of our facility, and we have even had a vehicle crash into our building. 20 years ago, I purchased the property. There were huge traffic and safety concerns which justified major restrictions on our project. Since then, this community, which has been extremely supportive of our business and our mission, has grown substantially. The traffic has increased dramatically, and those safety concerns have only magnified. Adding a school that will generate thousands of additional trips each day will only increase these risks. These safety concerns matter. For the safety of our children, our families, and existing businesses, I respectfully ask that this application be denied. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. I appreciate it. Was there one other person, I believe? Yes, ma'am. Good morning. There's about almost 4 minutes left.
Good morning, Jennifer Miranda, 1422 Williams Road.
a dead end approximately 0.7 miles from the proposed project. I'm a third-generation Lutz resident. We still operate one of Lutz's original family farms, and I respectfully oppose this application. While Lutz is still mostly rural, reckless urban sprawl to the north and south has made our roads a passage for a staggering number of commuters daily. The Lutz Lake Fern North Del Mabry intersection and its surrounding roads are unsafe, with egregious amounts of traffic and dangerously long light cycles. Because of this, my worst nightmare came true on September 12th, 2023, 3 years ago. A loved one had a cardiac event in my front yard and nearly died. The reason? It took me 15 minutes to go 1.2 miles to HCA ER. Shown here, if we can show, I have Dr. Damanji's notes from HCA ER stating that he had to intervene urgently to treat significant deterioration that could result in death. This is proof of his intervention. The condition my loved one had is something that's normally treated with medication, but because it took us so long to get to ER, he had to use cardiac inversion, life-saving measures. He almost died. Having seen where first responders cannot navigate the area I described easily, I opted to drive my loved one myself because honestly, it shouldn't take 15 minutes to go 1.2 miles, especially in a semi-rural community. Because traffic has not already been adequately addressed in this area, I nearly lost someone. Section 100203E requires a showing that the surrounding transportation network can support the school. The transportation network is already strained. An additional 4,100 commutes to Lutz will bring the worst for our community. I ask that you please deny this permit. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Please sign in on your way past. All right, there's a minute, 53 seconds left. Sir, are you the last speaker?
I don't know.
Is there, hang on one second. Jermaine, if you could stop for just 1 second. Is there anybody else that wants to speak? I just want to make sure we can accommodate in the time remaining. All right, it seems that you are. Go ahead, sir.
How y'all doing? Good morning, everybody. My name is Julio Moran. I live at 920 Lake Brooker Court. I've been there approximately 20 years. I'm a retired fire captain with Tampa Fire Rescue with over 34 years of experience. This is the story that you're just hearing now in the pictures. I don't want to repeat myself, and I know I got a short time. They're trying to show us how they're going to exit on Holly right across from the church. You guys know, and I know just from doing this from fire rescue, that's going to be impossible without them hiring off-duty law enforcement. We're seeing it on 41 at Lutz Prep. We're seeing it at Sun Lake. The roads are backed up 4 or 5 miles south of Van Dyke. It's just the location where they're wanting to put this school. On top of Hillsborough County already having 8+ schools. You've got Lutz Elementary, where my kids went, McKittrick, Martinez, Steinbrenner, Schwarzkopf. I don't see the need for this school other than it's going to take away, what is it, $1,000 or $8,000 per kid for a voucher when we have all the schools that we still have room to put schools in. My sister's a teacher at Lutz Elementary. So I'm just in total disagreement. Getting back to the thing, this is a life safety. The roads that you've seen the pictures with a school bus don't do it justice until you guys drive that street and see how narrow it is. We've got joggers. We've got more kids than we've ever had. When I moved there, I only have 2 kids. My 2 boys were like, they're out everywhere. They're rolling the strollers. It's good to see. But this is the life safety. There's no sidewalks at all on Holly Lane. And I just having a hard time that DOT is approving this and then trying to say that they're going to be able to come out and make a left-hand turn heading east. Heading west to Del Mabry. I just don't see that happening at all without law enforcement being there unless they exit onto Del Mabry. But there's a light at Lutz Lake Fern, and there's a light at, can I still go a couple minutes?
Just wrap it up, please.
Okay, well, the bottom line is just life safety. There's no hydrants. The emergency responders responding from Station 24 are having trouble. There's nowhere for people to pull over that are on Lutz Lake Fern, so I'd just like to ask the board to deny it also. I just don't see how it's even possible. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it. All right, don't forget to sign in, sir. All right, then that concludes the opposition portion of this testimony, or of this hearing, rather. We'll go back to Ms. Marshall if you have any comments based on today's testimony.
I don't have anything.
All right. Then we will go to Mr. Bentley for rebuttal.
Thank you, Ms. Finch. Just a couple things. Ms. Graham's an attorney, and she was rendering her opinion concerning flooding, transportation, traffic impacts, property values, et cetera. And under Florida law, she's an advocate, and that doesn't rise to the level of substantial competent evidence, okay, conclusory statements of a lawyer. So I think those should be disregarded or stricken from the record. The planner, Eric Houston from Jacksonville, he misstated the width of the pavement on Holly Lane. It's going to be 4 11-foot lanes. Right now, it's 18 feet. Apparently, he's not too familiar with the area. Also, he testified as to, he mentioned a licensed transportation analysis, and he did not identify who this other planner was, for what it's worth. Concerning demand, that's not one of the criteria, whether there are enough schools or not enough schools. In any event, notwithstanding that it's not a criterion for your consideration, we have at tab 10 a demographic study report demonstrating a need for this type of school. I'd like to turn over to Steve Henry now and address a couple transportation issues, and then Russell.
Good morning, Steve Henry again. One of the comments was that when Dale Mabry is widened with the frontage road, there'd be no more access. That is not in fact the case. We would have access to the frontage road system, which is still Dale Mabry. Yes, it wouldn't be direct access to that, but no one will have access to Dale Mabry. It will be to the frontage road system of Dale Mabry. So we still have the access to the arterial system from that standpoint.
Do you have any information on the timing of that?
There is no timing on it.
Okay.
There's no, it's not budgeted. DOT has no plans to do it. It is just a PD&E study that was done. DOT did acquire some right-of-way in the past, but at this plant, there's no point or no plans to do any of the widening.
There's no
DOT.
funding for the construction of it?
No.
Thank you.
There's not. And we've met with DOT specifically on that issue. And then also that you were showing pictures of a school bus on Holly Lane. That's the section, the north-south section to the east of us. As we indicated, we're not putting any traffic on that segment of Holly Lane. The portion that we're putting traffic on, which is from Dale Mabry to our access, we are improving that to 4 lanes to be able to accommodate the traffic that we've got. In addition, they talk about the access. We are proposing a signal at Dale Mabry and Holly Lane to allow that traffic to flow in and out of that area.
And there was a question about the conversation with DOT about that signal. What is the status of that?
DOT has agreed that as far as the location, it meets the spacing criteria for the location. We'll have to go through the permitting process, which would include both a signal warrant analysis to be done as part of the permitting, and then also what they call an intersection configuration evaluation. So we'll also have to go through that process. But as far as the concept of putting a signal, that they don't have any issue with that because it does meet the spacing. We just got to go through the permitting process for that.
Understood.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning, Russell Ottenberg again. I'd like to address a few things. One of the comments made was that there's more stringent criteria for schools, and that's under section 5.2.1. That is correct. Those are listed in my report, and it's documented how those more stringent criteria are met. I summarized that earlier. So that is taken care of as part of this application. With respect to it being in the Lutz community plan and in a semi-rural area, that is correct. However, the LDC establishes the implementing criteria for that, including the special use criteria and all other criteria. This project will meet all of those criteria and thus is consistent with the Lutz community plan. Furthermore, the Planning Commission has stated that this is a transitional use along Dale Mabry between the Dale Mabry corridor and those properties to the east. So again, it is consistent and compatible. There was also some discussion about wellhead protection and some other things. Again, those are more LDC criteria, and those will be addressed definitively during permitting. And so those will be satisfied as well. Lastly, Mr. Moran said that there are no fire hydrants in the area. There isn't the infrastructure out there. That is correct. There will be an on-site storage tank for firefighting. It's required. It will be provided. That is all.
Before you leave, I just want to confirm there are no waivers requested for this application to the Land Development Code.
That is correct. No waivers.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. That was my only question.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bentley, there's about 45 seconds left.
Hey, thank you so much for the additional time today. Really appreciate it. Concerning the waivers, the only modification, I guess you could say, is the design exception, which has been approved by Mike Williams and it's in your backup. So just all things considered, as I mentioned early on, is that the burden on any third party to the local government is to demonstrate that we did not meet the criteria. I haven't heard any testimony or evidence that says we have not. And it's really not a battle of the evidence. Once we demonstrate, which we have through the staff reports, our experts, et cetera, that we meet the criteria, we're entitled to the permit under the law. So appreciate your time. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it. All right, then with that, we'll close special use 26-0430. We're going to go to the next case. If you all could exit the room quietly because we do have an agenda to finish, I'd appreciate it. Give it just a minute, yeah. All right, it seems like, Ms. Marshall, I think it seems like we can call the next case.
Next item is item I2, special use 260538. The applicant is Templo Philadelphia Incorporated. The request is a special use for a church, and I will present the staff findings after presentation by the applicant.
All right, good morning.
Thanks for the overhead. My name is Catherine Coyle with Boggs Engineering, 607 South Alexander Street, Suite 101, Plant City. I'm here representing Templo Philadelphia for a special use permit. I'll be brief with my comments, and I'll simply walk you through the site plan. The zoning, the property is located in the 5700 block of State Road 674 in Waimama. Property is owned RSC 6, future land use is OC 20. The surrounding uses include vacant land to the north, also owned by another church entity, laundromat, and a retail convenience store with gasoline immediately to the east across 4th Street. To the south, there is an office with a food truck vendor and a couple single-family residences. And to the west, there's vacant land and a mobile home. There was a special use approved in 2014 for this site, same owner for a church. At that time, they were unable to build the facility. So they've come back around, they've raised the money, they're ready to go now. But in the intervening time in 2021, the Waimama overlay was adopted. So we did have to change some of the orientation of the building for the new building and the parking, which you can see on the plan above you, and I'll walk you through that. What they're proposing is a 15,279 square foot sanctuary with 354 seats. The red line that you see there is the right-of-way preservation for 674 from FDOT. It's 22 feet into the property. The building isn't right up to it. There's an awning here and a little element that comes out, so that is sitting at the 22 feet. This is the historic resource on the property. We did go to the Historic Resources Board, and they did make a finding of no adverse impact. The building is placed at the front along 674 and at the front of 5th Street, which is required by the Waimama Overlay District. The entrances are on 5th Street here with an awning as required by the overlay. There is an entrance here with an awning for the overlay, and then there is an entry porch here where there's a walkway to it. So people can come in 3 different places along the street because they do have people that drive, but they also have people in the area that walk to the church as well. There are 111 spaces provided, all of which are grass parking. The drive aisles are paved. Only 107 are required, so there's no variance to the parking requirements. There are 5 ADA spaces paved immediately next to the building. Let's see, access to the site is from 5th and 4th Streets. This is the one point of relief that we're asking from the code, and it's not the special use criteria, it's actually in the overlay district that requires when you have over 300 seats, you have to have access to a principal street arterial. And unfortunately, due to the right-of-way preservation, the location of the historic resource, and the mandate from the overlay that we place the buildings at front and we have to hold 70% of it along the front, it just didn't seem right to actually place it on 674. It seemed counter to the code requirement and the design. So the access points are on to the rear. And I'll show you really quickly the building. This is the front.
Ms. Coyle, can you bring that microphone with you? There you go.
This is the front of the building where I mentioned there's one of the main entrances here with the awning. This is the porch feature with, there's 2 doors here walking into the sanctuary. And they've added the windows and the ornamentation on the building per code. We're asking for no relief from the overlay standards at all, actually, except for the access. This is the eastern elevation where that porch feature is. This actually faces the historic resource. The other entrance, or I'm sorry, the other face to the west, this is the face that fronts 5th. And this is the main entrance with the window, or I'm sorry, with the door and the awning. And then the glass at less than 20 feet separation. With that, I am available for any questions, and we respectfully request your approval.
I just had a question about the
Yes.
variance component for the frontage to an arterial collector. What's on the property right now?
The church is at the corner, the historic church is at the corner right here. And there is the parsonage, which the pastor lives in, is back here, but that's being torn down. The rest of it is vacant.
Okay. And where is the access currently to the property?
It's kind of all over. It is on the side streets, though, mainly.
And it appeared maybe on 674 as well, from the aerial. I haven't been out to the property yet.
It could be. It's not as defined, I would say.
I see. Okay. All right. And I think that was my only question about the access. Does that conclude your presentation?
Yes, ma'am. I'll
All
hold
right.
any comments for my ending.
All right. Thank you so much. Don't forget to sign in. All right. We will go to Development Services.
I just wanted to point out, I realized that there was a typo on page 1. The request for regarding the access is a waiver and not a variance. So under the additional information, they should be flipped. It should be a waiver to the Land Development Code and no variances is requested as part of this application.
So it's a waiver for they don't propose access to a collector and arterial, and so that's a waiver and not subject to the 6 variance criteria.
Correct, yes, because it's part of 611.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
The proposed special use request is to allow the applicant to construct a new church building on the property of the Waimama Church of the Nazarene, which has been designated as a historic resource. The 2.25 acre property is located on the north side of State Road 674 between 4th Street and 5th Street. Due to the church exceeding 300 seats, the applicant is requesting a waiver to LDC section 61125C to allow access to be taken from 4th Street and 5th Street, which are designated as local roads. Staff has no objection to the proposed waiver. Parcels are located in the downtown Waimama area on the north side of State Road 674 between 4th Street and 5th Street. The area is primarily comprised of single-family residential uses, with many commercial uses to the east and west of the property along State Road 674. Per the elevations provided by the applicant, the design and location of the new building will meet the requirements of the downtown Waimama overlay district. This will help create a mixed-use, walkable, and pedestrian-friendly downtown district, which is in line with the intent of the of creating the small-town feel of the downtown Waimama overlay district. The subject property is designated as a historic resource on the Hillsborough County Historic Resources Inventory. As such, the proposed new church sanctuary was reviewed by the Historic Resources Review Board at its May 19, 2026 meeting. The Historic Resource Review Board determined that the proposed new church poses no effect on the historic resource. Staff finds proposed special use approvable subject to the recommended conditions.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. We'll go to the Planning Commission.
Yes, Alexis Myers, Planning Commission staff. The subject site is located in the Office Commercial 20 Future Land Use category. It is in the urban service area and located within the limits of the South Shore Area-Wide Systems Plan and Waimama Village Community Plan. Given the existing development pattern and the diverse mix of surrounding land uses, the proposed development is compatible with the adjacent properties and consistent with the established character of the community. Therefore, the proposal is consistent with Future Land Use Section Objective 1.1 and Policy 3.1.3. Future Land Use Section Objective 4.6 recognizes that neighborhood-serving uses, specifically residential support uses, are an allowable land use in any residential, commercial, or industrial land use plan category. A church is classified as a residential support use. Based upon those considerations, Planning Commission staff find the proposed special use consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, subject to the proposed restrictions by the Development Services Department.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? Seeing no one. Anyone in opposition? Ms. Marshall, anything else?
Nothing further.
Ms. Coyle, you have the last word if you'd like it.
Just really quick, how do I zoom in?
We'll send in
Zoom.
help. Hold on.
Zoom, zoom. I see zoom. There we go. Ooh, Lord. Sorry about that.
Making us dizzy.
Yeah, this, in answer to your question about the access points, as I've mentioned, they're not overly defined, but you can see that there's an entrance here and one to the parsonage. So there's two entrances that people are using along 5th Street. It looks like they're entering and exiting off the rear where the new driveway, defined driveway, will be on 4th. And it does look like they do currently come kind of in the center by the tree. But again, not overly defined. And the new development, obviously, concrete aprons and accessing the property correctly.
And less access points than are
Far
currently
less,
being used.
2 versus, looks like 4.
Understood. Understood.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Then with that, we'll close special use 26-0538 and go to the next case.
Next item is item I3, special use 260699. The applicant is Juan Camilo Meja. The request is a special use 2 COP alcoholic beverage permit with distance separation waivers. Staff findings will be provided by Jared Folan after presentation by the applicant.
All right. Good morning.
Hello, good morning, everyone, and thank you for everybody's time. My name is Robinson Mejia, 102-401 Boggy Moss Drive, Riverview, Florida.
And I'm Juan Mejia, 4559 Amberley Oaks Court, Tampa, Florida.
Thank you.
And we're here for the location 14614 North Del Mabry Highway, Tampa, Florida, 33614 for the special use 2 COP alcohol beverage permit with distance separation waivers. We've been having this establishment since 2004. It's a Latin food, 2024. It's a Latin food restaurant. It's the third one that the family has. We would like to apply for this permit so we can provide the extra services that our clients are asking for. One of the other restaurants already have the license, so we know the responsibilities of having it. Regarding the location,
There you go.
so
If we could zoom that out.
Zoom out. That's it. No, that's perfect. Thank you. So it's a very commercialized area. We're located in a big plaza, and there's plazas all over across the street next to us, adjacent. There's a good amount of establishments that have the permit. So I'm assuming we're not the last ones asking for one, since the area keeps continuing to grow. But I just wanted to show that there is a few establishments, and we want to continue to grow in that area. I have some photos of the establishment. This is the outside. The inside, as you can see, is a very family-oriented. We serve food from all over Latin America. And this is the last photo. So just kind of get a feel. It's a small family restaurant. We serve a lot of food. That's our main thing. And again, this is just provide extra service to our clients. Okay.
All right, does that conclude your presentation?
Yes.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Don't forget for both of you to sign in.
Okay.
Development
Thank you.
Services. Good morning.
Good morning. Jared Fallon with Development Services. So this is a request for a 2 COP alcoholic beverage permit with separation waivers to allow the sale of beer and wine at the subject property. This permit is sought for restaurant use with about 1,579.5 square feet of indoor area. The site complies with separation requirements for community uses and residentially zoned property, but does not meet the requirements for being within 1,000 feet of 3 or more approved alcoholic beverage permits. The subject restaurant is located along Dale Mabry Highway, which has 6 lanes with 200 feet of right-of-way and is within a highly commercialized area, being an appropriate location for the use. While over 3 alcoholic beverage permits are located within 1,000 feet of the proposed wet zone, all are primarily concentrated within 4 large shopping centers. Additionally, the nearest residential use is located over 500 feet to the north and is separated by a large wetland area. Staff finds the proposed wet zone does not pose significant impacts to surrounding land uses and the necessity for the specified distance requirements is negated. Staff recommends approval, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
None at this time. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? Anyone in favor? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition? No one. Ms. Marshall, anything else?
Nothing further. Thank
Sir, you have the last word if you'd like it.
Yeah, so we've been operating for 8 years with our original location. So we had the beer and wine license at our original location on Hillsborough for 8 years. So we act everything correctly. So
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time and testimony. Appreciate it. With that, we'll close special use AB 26-0699 and go to the next case.
Next item is item I4, special use 260859. The applicant is La Cecilia Restaurant LLC. The request is a special use 4 COPRX alcoholic beverage permit with distance separation waivers. Staff findings will be presented by Chris Grand-Leonard after presentation by the applicant.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning. My name is Terry Haley. I reside at 108 Clock Tower Drive, number 160, Brandon, Florida, 33510. Excuse me right off the bat, my southern tongue might not roll enough to pronounce a couple of these names, but I'm going to try my best.
All right.
I am representing La Cecilia Restaurants LLC, and they're going to do business as Ibiza. And what they are a restaurant. They have leased property at 210 East Fowler Avenue. Basically, and to zero in on it, it's on the northwest corner of Fowler and Florida Avenue, in a sense. It's a unique situation because it is a hotel. My clients have leased only the restaurant. They will be the only prepared food on site. However, they do provide no room service or anything like that. It's open to the guests of the hotel as well as patrons off the street. However, they have extended the request into the back area of the building, which is basically the pool area. They will provide service, both food and beverage, to the existing pool area. The hotel itself was built in 1972, so it's been there a while. It is a very highly traveled road and community, but behind it on the north side, our waiver is for some distance, a distance request. Would you not meet the 150 feet from the residential? It's actually only 20 feet, okay? Something I wanted to talk about, though, I do have a picture if you want to put it up. I'm not used to doing this, but do you just lay it on there?
Yes. And then when you could talk about it if you want to move that microphone too.
Okay.
Perfect.
Let me get a pen. Okay, so the uniqueness about the property is I'm having to get 2 zoning requests. One is from you guys, the county, and one is the city, because right through the middle of the property is the county-city break line, okay? So you guys, the county, are labeled as there, the pink area, which the B is located in the city, is the actual building. But however, the kitchen and the back of the building lies in the city. So the complete zoning is both the pink area and the blackened area B, okay? So also I wanted to mention in the back, the residential is there. It would be above the A section to the proposed variance, or excuse me, the waiver we're asking for. I had mentioned that there was, a lot of natural buffer and there was fences and such, but I guess one of the owners, prior owners of the property, went ahead and removed a back driveway that was there. That was basically the 20 feet distance, and now they've extended landscape, and I assume the new owner of the hotel is going to keep that. So there is no back road around the building. Basically, you can come to the edge of each side, east and west, where I've labeled the pink area, if that makes sense to you.
It does.
Okay, but so what we're requesting is simply that waiver for residential properties, only 20%. I should have looked this up, I did not, but I actually think this building and this business was here prior to the residential, but don't quote me on that, okay? And I mean, that's about it, really, that probably the least of the use will be in the outside pool area. And it's a 4 COP SFS, which is special food, that at least that's the way it's labeled with alcoholic beverage department. But basically what it requires, they are going to be a restaurant, which they must sell 51% more food, or 51% food versus alcohol. So alcohol is basically just an amenity to the restaurant. So any questions or anything else, I'd be glad to answer.
No questions at this time. Thank you
Okay,
so much for your
thank you.
testimony. Don't forget to sign in. Development Services.
Chris Graulinar, Development Services, presenting a staff report for special use application AB 26-0859 for La Cecilia Restaurant located at 210 East Fowler Avenue. The request is for a 4-COP RX classification, allowing the use of the sale of beer, wine, and liquor for on-premises consumption in connection with the restaurant. The property is zoned commercial general, which supports the existing hotel and restaurant use. The applicant is requesting a waiver from the required 150-foot separation from residential zone property. The closest residential to the north range for the north is about 20 feet to the closest from the proposed wet zoned area. Several physical features buffer the restaurant from the residences, including an 8-foot block wall, fencing, existing drive aisles, and former drive aisles, and landscape screening. The building and customer entrance are oriented south towards Fowler Avenue, directing activity away from the residential area with limited pedestrian or vehicle interaction between the two. Given the longstanding commercial use of the property, the building orientation, and the presence of these buffers, staff finds that the reduced distance will not create significant impacts and that the waiver is supportable. Our recommendation is staff recommends approval for the 4-Cop RX permit with the requested waiver for a total wet zoned area of approximately 25,413 square feet. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition to this request? No one. Ms. Marshall, anything else?
Nothing further.
Sir, you have the last word.
I just wanted to throw in a couple things. One is just to let you know that we look like we're getting positive response from the city side of the issue as well. So we hope that you consider approving us, and as a whole thing, we can have a nice business going. The other thing on a personal note I wanted to throw out there, I don't know who I need to thank, but of my last 7 hearings, this is the first one that I'm not the last person up. Okay, so thank you.
Not me, so someone else. All right, thank you for that. So we will close special use AB 26-0859 and go to the last case.
Last item is item I-5, special use 260863. The applicant is Cristobal Pimentel. The request is a special use 2 COP alcoholic beverage permit with distance separation waivers. Staff findings will be presented by Tanya Chapella after presentation by the applicant.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Cristobal Pimentel. I am the owner of Almara Coffee LLC, located in 702 Railroad Street, and we're seeking approval for our 2 COP beer and wine license. And here to ask any questions.
All right, it looks like the waiver is to residentially zoned property, and I just wondered if you had heard from any of the neighbors after you sent out your notice.
No, there has not been any reply from any of the neighbors.
All right, that was my only question. Thank you so much. Don't forget to sign in.
Thank you so much.
Development Services. Good morning.
Good morning, Tanya Chapella, Development Services. So this application, 260863, a request for a 2 COP alcoholic beverage permit for Amoret Coffee LLC, located at 702 Railroad Street in Waimama. The request would allow the sale and consumption of beer and wine on and off premises as an accessory use to an existing coffee shop. The proposed wet zone area is approximately 2199 square feet. The site complies with the required separation from community uses and with the limit on nearby approved alcoholic beverage uses. However, a waiver is requested from the 250-foot separation from residentially zoned property, resulting in a separation of 109.3 feet. The staff finds the waiver is supportable due to the low intensity nature of the coffee shop use, the commercial character of the area, and existing physical separation, including Railroad Street and fencing. Therefore, staff recommends the request be found approvable subject to conditions.
Thank you so much, appreciate it. Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition? No one. Ms. Marshall, anything else?
Nothing further.
All right, sir, anything else before we close? All right, thank you. Then with that, we'll close special use AB 26-0863 and adjourn the hearing. Thank you all for your time and testimony.